Because you've got powerful legs. How'd you get the physique? Was it gym or how'd you get the physique?
I've always been...
She's actually not got powerful legs. Do you shower in your dressing room? Do you have a shower on the day of a fight or not? Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
That's your knowing mind.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing nutters messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump. You know what I'm saying?
Welcome, folks, to episode 626 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse, where you can find us on Sundays, 8 o'clock in the UK, 12 Pacific time in the United States, the next day, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Joining me right now, we got Justin, we got James, a few others popping in. We had a big week of boxing behind us. We got a big week in front of us. Lots to discuss. We have legacies being built, hype trains coming off of the rails, trilogies coming to an end. It was a heck of a week, but let's kick it off with what I thought should have been the main event on Saturday night with Shakur Stevenson really putting on a pound-for-pound display against the formidable William Zepeda, who kept coming, kept trying, but eventually kind of put everything he knew how to do out there. Every idea he had, he laid it on the table. And even though the judges had it wider than I did, where I had it even after 8 rounds, Shakur, I think just inarguably on anyone's card, ran away with the last 4 rounds, absolutely dominating Zepeda over the remainder with massive combinations, good movement. He just wouldn't let Zepeda get off the way he had earlier. But earlier in the fight, both guys landed some shots. Zepeda, I think he arguably hurt Stevenson a couple of times, once with a power jab right against the ropes when Stevenson got squared. I think it was around the 3rd or the 4th round. But Justin, I think we've seen Shakur in a number of fights. I mean, he's this is his 3rd division at this point in time. But as he's moving up, we keep wanting to see more and more. Kind of like, okay, what about this? What about this? And I feel like Stevenson passed the test. We wanted to see him against a big, hard-punching, volume Mexican fighter at 135, and that's what we got. And I think that Zepeda very well might have given Stevenson the toughest fight of his career, if I'm looking back and thinking. But nonetheless, coming up well short.
It was definitely, I think you just summed it up perfectly. Somebody had to fight Stevenson to get him out of his comfort zone and make him actually have to open it up a little bit, because he's just been in cruise control. And that is due to the fact of just his personality, but also his talent level, that he's been able to easily win and not have to, get out of first gear?
Yeah, he's just too good. Like I mean, even going back to the Valdez fight, I don't know what gear he was in.
That's what I'm saying. He just does enough Yeah, he just rolling. He didn't even turn the car on. He just pushed him down the hill. That's basically how he's been fighting. But we all knew that Zepeda was going to we didn't think Zepeda was going to win, but we knew that he was going to make Shakur fight, and that Stevenson could not get out of this fight without having to throw some shots, take some shots. It was going to be different for him. And yes, I'm not the biggest Shakur fan, but finally last night we saw, and I think like you said, the final 4 or 5 rounds, that was pure talent. The counter left hands. I think the big thing Shakur did last night was he finally let his hands go late in that fight. I think he realized, like you said, it was close. Zepeda was touching him up a little bit. He was making the fight hard. And so Stevenson had no choice. He had to open it up a little bit. He could not that was going to be too close to a fight if he tried. And he was taking a lot of punishment he didn't have to take just because
He had to up his output. He couldn't sit on the ropes because whether he was touching him a lot or not, Zepeda was putting in enough work to easily steal rounds depending on what you're looking at.
Shakur's little pity-patty shots that beat a lot of guys, that wasn't enough to deter Zepeda. He had to put some weight on his shots last night. He had to actually open himself up a little bit to put a little more oomph on him. He did that. He had some beautiful – throughout the fight, he had some really beautiful counter left hands that he nailed on Zepeda. It just popped him, right? I mean, just nailed him, and he opened up. That's the Shakur we want to see. We don't want to see the rest of his career. We don't even want to see the first few rounds. We want to see those final 4 or 5 rounds. If he fights like that, which he won't, unless he has to, and last night he had to. But if he gives us a taste of that every fight, he is going to be a must-watch guy. He is going to be a guy that's like, well, you got to watch the Shakur fight. You see how he fought? Like, his combinations. The man, literally, I hate saying this word, has everything you have to be a good boxer. He's got all the skills, everything you have to have. We wanted to see it, though. We saw it. Because remember, he's the same thing we kept saying about Bivol. When are we ever going to see this man have to open up? And sometimes it took Zepeda last night just coming like we knew Zepeda was going to come like a bull. And that, Stevenson had to matador him. He did more than matador last night. He actually come at him. And I hate to use the word impressed, but I just like the skills. We finally got to see it, what we've all been, what he talks about. I mean, that's all the man talks about. How skilled he is.
I was impressed. I have no problem saying I was impressed. What I saw last night was, as far as his career goes and the performances he's put in, last night was the night where when I watched what he was doing and really tried to slow it down and catch his, what ultimately is his brilliance. It's when I saw that Shakur is a fucking Southpaw Mayweather, man. Let's face it. And guys don't get how to fight that style and shit. And Shakur did it. Like when you're doing a shoulder roll, if you're going to effectively come out of a Philly shell, what makes it difficult for a lot of guys to fight that way is because they want their torso to be wide so that they can turn their punches over and shit like that more. But when you're doing that shoulder roll, you're pulling that shoulder into your gloved hand, your glove side with where you can actually keep your hand up on your backhand so much, trying to squeeze that down that you're limiting yourself on the shots that you can throw. I mean, that's why you have that right hand straight off the shoulder. The front hand uppercut is real common and shit like that. And then if you want to hook, you're going to have to kind of get inside of shit and come back over. But then at that point you got the Joe Louis, very few guys got that 6-inch hook. Shakur threw it a few times. It was some brilliant shit, especially down the last few rounds reminded me of the way Floyd lit Cotto up in the 12th. When they fought, just like
last night,
does all fight.
Last night, Shakur showed if he fights every way like he finished last night, I don't think anybody's going to beat him at 135. Not fighting like that, not with that kind of ability where he can just, like you said,
you'd have to catch him clean. You'd have to catch him clean because you're not outboxing him.
It's going to be nobody at 135 is going. I love Abdullah Mason, but Abdullah Mason is going to have to hurt him. He's not going to outbox him. Like you're going to and see Shakur is when he was, I liked it. We finally, I mean, you know, the casuals don't care, but people like us have been waiting for this for a long time. And we finally got to see what we've all been, you know, you've been saying it, and we finally got to see it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, you might not agree with me there, the aircraft carrier, and you know, I appreciate you. You know, you've been in here popping in and enjoying the pod and getting your comments. I guess you don't agree. You don't think he's a Southpaw Mayweather. I don't know what to tell you, man. I was watching that, and is that maybe going a bit too far? I don't know, but in the sense of fighters who have effectively fought out of that defensive stance, I haven't seen anybody do it that way since Mayweather. Like, I've seen a lot of guys do okay, seen plenty of guys try and fail, but I haven't seen people do that shit the way that Shakur was in, you know, 10 years since, you know, Mayweather was still, you know, competing at a high level there. But anyhow, James, I know you didn't catch much, but on the highlights, I mean, you saw, I mean, just the levels of Stevenson in there. Obviously a generational talent. And with Tank Davis looking like he's going to jail, the number of fighters who can compete with this guy, it's going slimmer and slimmer. Is he going to have to go to 140 pounds and fight a Teofimo Lopez if he wants to fight?
Why is Tank Davis going to jail?
He beat another woman.
Oh, classic. All right.
That's what he does. He beats people, but he doesn't know how to stop at one gender. He's decided to extend the beatings across all genders, and that's where he gets into trouble.
He's an advocate for equality, then, isn't he? Really, in that sense. But I'm not a top or abreast of the kind of the gossip side of sport. Like, in that sense, I'm not really on top of criminal cases or whatever. But that was the fight that seemed to be in the mixer moving forward. Just a couple of things about Shakur Stevenson in general. I think what Justin said was bang on there. I feel like anytime I've watched him fight in the past, you always felt like he could give a little bit more, because the little glimpses that you would see, even if it was once, twice, 3 times per round, you would be thinking to yourself, if you fought a little bit outside of your comfort zone, you'd be getting some spectacular results. But the fact of the matter is he's a 3-weight world champion, Olympic silver medalist, and from what I gathered, put on a pretty convincing performance last night. But yeah, I don't know if I'd favour him against Gervonta Davis, impending prison sentence notwithstanding. Teofimo Lopez, I like that fight a lot, just because Teo's so explosive and unpredictable, and he doesn't throw conventionally, if that makes any sense. He's still in his athletic prime to the point where if he's confident and he's at it, then he will throw some unorthodox stuff that I feel like could really unstick a fighter like Shakur Stevenson and his natural power and size as well. So that's pretty compelling, really. But yeah, I think it's a temperament thing. Some fighters, if you don't have to go to 8, 9, 10, then why would you? If you can win a fight at 5 or 6, then you probably will. And as for the Mayweather comparison, I think he's more akin to Money Mayweather rather than Pretty Boy Floyd. If you know what I mean, he's very conservative, whereas Pretty Boy Floyd Mayweather was explosive and exciting and adventurous. So I feel like Mayweather's had 2 iterations. He's almost like 2 different fighters in a way. But I think it's a fair comparison to the Mayweather of the later stages of his career, for sure.
And joining us, one of Shakur's biggest fans, who has been tooting that horn for a very, very long time, Rob Kelly. Rob, again, and some people don't agree with me. Like I said, I had that fight even through 8, and then Shakur just ran away with it. And it was just one of those jaw-dropping thirds of a fight that it's been I just haven't seen anything like that in a long time. And people might think, you're kind of waxing a little too lyrically about this and stuff, but this is because I rate Zepeda. He's that kind of come forward Mexican fighter that gives slick Black American fighters fucking fits all day long, right? It's a story as old as time. And Shakur, once Zepeda seemed to get every trick he had in his book out, I mean, he just went to town, and you must have felt for those last 4 rounds that this is what I've seen the whole time, and I'm glad the rest of the world is bearing witness to it finally.
Yeah, like Shakur Stevenson didn't need to make me a believer because we believed him when he turned over, but just there's so many question marks about him. He's obviously he's a little creep, and he's not a likable guy. Like he's a, he's a petulant little guy. He's big mouth. He talks a lot. And then he doesn't deliver on his promises. And then you've had the hometown fights where he's stunk the joint out. You know, he's beating up an electrician. He's going through all these stuff. Some of the stuff may have been promotional wise, but now that Turkey's at the table and he seems to favour Shakur, all those kind of obstacles should be out of the way in terms of making big fights. The talk was he was chasing the bigger fighters, the Haney's, the Lopez's, the Tank Davises, and nobody wants to take him on because he's too good. But he had to fucking show us it. He had to show us that it wasn't enough to be just going and doing enough against fellas that don't deserve to be in the ring with you. And Zepeda gave him an opponent that deserved to be in the ring with him. He fucking cut the ring off. He threw punches from different angles. He rocked him. He brought it to him, but we needed to see him come through that. Like all the great fighters that he gets compared to, we had those moments earlier on in their career. You look at even Terence Crawford, who spent a lot of time with him. Gamboa gave him a little bit of a wobble early on. You know, Kavalowskis, different guys posed them different threats along the way, and he got to show how great he was in response. What's homeboy's name again? John Porter, different. Like just give him different. And Shakur hasn't had that. Like he hasn't had those close fights. He's just been in boring snooze fights when he's clearly dominant, and he doesn't put the shots together or step on it or realize it's show business as well. You know, that way that we want to be entertained. He just wants to do enough to get by. Like, but last night, obviously, Zepeda brought the fire, and he deserves massive credit for his performance as well, because he really had a shot of getting him out of there. I thought in the third, he really hurt him, stiffened his legs up. So, but Shakur bit down, and he showed a bit, like, and he showed how good he was last night. So now we can't have any complaints. We just have to see him in a big fight. Stop dog. The dog don't like Shakur Stevenson. He's a Zepeda fan. She's a Zepeda fan. But yeah, I thought he answered some critics last night. I think he still has a bit to do, but entertaining from him for once.
Yeah, it was a thoroughly entertaining fight. I honestly, that card, I enjoyed the shit out of that card. The only fight, unfortunately, I didn't catch was Morell and Kateev, and I hear that one was an absolute banger too. But this was, and you need the right dance partner to get there. And we've seen guys just do pedestrian stuff, try and fail against Shakur, and he doesn't have to do much to get out of it. And then we've seen guys try to box Shakur, and that's a ridiculously easy game for him to win. He cut his teeth outboxing people in the amateurs. And we finally found the right style mesh up where a guy brought just enough to the ring. He was a good come forward fighter. I'm not saying Zepeda's the most high IQ tricky fighter, this, that, and the other, but he's got some tools. And I'll say something that he did that I hope people appreciate that he did early on that gave Shakur some problems. And actually, Rob, I'm going to spin this right back to you. Is I think that Zepeda, what he did that was really well, and this is what was Maxie Hughes' foil when he fought him, is Zepeda is really good at throwing over the top of your opposite hand. If you throw a jab at him, he comes over the top with his left. If you're in a southpaw stance, if you throw a left hand at him, he comes over at the top with a power jab or a right hook. He did some things in there that made Shakur think early, and I think by not giving credit to that, Rob, I think we're diminishing the quality of this win for Stevenson. Rob.
Sorry, do that times there for a sec. Yeah, I think Zepeda deserves the credit for his performance because he's been able to bring something out of Shakur that nobody else been able to bring so far. Like, put the ring as well and landed on him. So the talk was you can't hit him even when you get in close. So certainly raises questions now what would happen if Davis had him in a corner like that where he actually tagged him. He could feasibly see Shakur winning every second of every round until he gets touched. But Zepeda will have big fights now, and there'll be other entertaining matchups for him to be in because he proved his value. And he has been proving his value, Zepeda.
Yeah,
and he's clever. He's thinking out the shots. He's not just he's not just wild with it. Like he was using his feet to try and close distance. He was feinting. He was trying to counter. And he was bringing it to Shakur. And every second of the fight, he was trying to win as well, even when he's behind. So, yeah, he comes out with some major props.
Yeah, it's styles make fights, and Zepeda, it's going to be hard for him to be in a boring fight. He's just one of those guys, and it's a tough way to earn a living, but you're going to earn a living because people want to see you come back. And but I'll tell you, Justin, what I'm looking here for these guys next. I would ultimately like to see Floyd Schofield fight Shakur Stevenson next, if that's possible. But if for some reason they balk at that fight, I'd like to see Schofield take on Zepeda and see if he can't kind of do like he did with Farmer and one up potential opponent's work. And show Shakur maybe this is how you knock this guy out. It would create a compelling narrative for a future fight between the two.
I don't think we're going to see Schofield and Stevenson next, and that could be a really boring fight. I don't even know how that would play out because Shakur wouldn't. Neither guy is. I don't think wants to be the full owner. I don't know that fight. I don't know how that fight would play. I know Dez is really high on Schofield, but
it's a high IQ fight with both guys.
That could be a very
single shots. It could be awful, or it could be.
I'm leaning towards awful because Shakur. Only reason we saw him fight open up last night because he had no choice. He had no choice. Schofield, he'll have more of a choice. I guess the best way I can put it is he'll have more of a choice. Schofield's not going to fight the way Zepeda did, so Shakur won't have to show us everything he has. It'll just be a different fight. But Schofield and Zepeda, yeah, you might. I mean, why not? Why not? Zepeda had 2 tough fights versus Farmer. He lost this one. There's no reason that fight can't be made. I don't see no reason why they would want. It's not like Zepeda took a beating last night where you're like, well, he needs to give me fight, let him get back in line. I don't see no reason in the world that fight can't be made. It's not a big money fight, so that's not going to hold it up. There's no reason why they couldn't. And I agree with you. Schofield, he might have at this point how Shakur is being ran and how all that everything's going. Schofield's probably going to have to earn the right to fight Stevenson, so he would have to. So somebody like Zepeda, it would have to be somebody like that. You're right. They're not going to fight next, but Schofield and Zepeda would be a good fight. I think Schofield would beat him. I just think Zepeda. That's the only thing that I don't want to get crazy with this win by Shakur. I like Zepeda. He's a good fighter, but he is what he is too. So you have to kind of. I hate to say that, but you kind of got to take it. He's the kind of guy that Stevenson, we said last week, should look good against, and he did. But Zepeda made him work for that. So Schofield versus Zepeda be one of those fights. If Schofield is ready to go, because I know, like I said, I know Dez is really high on Schofield. If Schofield is ready to go, we'll find out after the Zepeda fight. There's no better test than that.
The Air Force carrier, they're saying he doesn't believe Schofield a high IQ, slick black fighter. I think that's what he was. I think you had a little typo in one of your comments there, my man. He says he's more like Porter. I don't see that. There's 2 performances Schofield put on that I think you need to look at for what kind of a fighter he is. One was that 1-round demolition of Tevin Farmer. It was just very, very clever offensive fight. And the other one, I'm struggling for the guy's name. I think it was last year, and I think he might have won that one by DQ.
He's definitely not a – Shawn Porter had his own style all to himself. He's definitely not a Shawn Porter style. That was – Shawn Porter could be in some very ugly fights because of just the way he threw his shots and the kind of style he had. That I get what he's trying to say, but I wouldn't
fucking hated his style. I hated Shawn Porter's style. I hated it. I wrestling. I hated it.
Yeah, it was awful to watch. Awful to watch. It was way different than Schofield's. Shawn Porter just was an ugly, like just ugly shit.
Porter's fights depended on one thing and one thing only: if they were watchable or awful. And that was if he was throwing the hook at the right distance and the right sharpness to catch his opponent, because if he wasn't, he'd end up going around their head and they'd end up in a clinch.
Porter tried to overwhelm you. That was his thing. He would just try to overwhelm you. Like when I watched him, I was there when he beat. I was like in the 4th row, I think, when he beat Paulie Malignaggi. And Paulie can't punch, so that was the perfect style for him to fight versus Paulie. Because if Porter is one of those guys, you had to be able to keep him off of you a little bit. He just blitzed Malignaggi because he just like a bulldozer.
And he had a fast first step too, which Paulie at that point didn't have the legs to deal with. James, you're hopping in there or something on that?
I was just going to agree, really, because like you had to beat Shawn Porter. I agree with Rob in that. Like even the Kell Brook fight, it was just ugly. Like patches of punches. Really, you could count on one hand the amount of clean exchanges there were. But think about like Keith Thurman, like Shawn Porter. That's probably his best win. Would you say? Like a lot of fighters.
Him or Danny Garcia, one of the two.
Yeah, so it's like there are a lot of welterweights that kind of. They have Shawn Porter as their best win, if that makes any sense, because for a fact that if he will run over you if you let him, 100%. Like that Adrien Broner fight was a particularly good example of him getting a rare win at the top level, albeit like against a naturally smaller guy. But he definitely made his opponents work for sure.
That was crazy. He got that win the way he did too, because I don't know if anybody remembers it. I mean, Porter started out his career at 154, then he was campaigning at welterweight, and for the Broner fight, the son of a bitch who could never make weight dragged him down to a catch weight of either 144 or 143, which Porter made, and he proceeded to beat the shit out of Broner.
Yeah, and Broner stuck him though.
Yeah, he dropped him in the last round or something like that.
He did.
Broner hurt him. If that had been a round earlier, he might have stopped it because Broner hurt him. He caught him with a beautiful counter, and he hurt him.
That's a story of Broner's career.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just a pity for Broner. Like, I don't think he could have been a much better version of Adrien Broner, but he couldn't have been a much worse version. Do you know that way? After the way things panned out with his career, because he did have. Like, I used to, don't get me, I don't want to retrospectively big up fucking Adrien Broner like he was something. Like, I used to constantly fucking slag off his footwork, his fucking moochy defense. He just didn't do anything great. Like, but his athletic capabilities and his punch power, he could really punch. Like, if he had just fucking stayed dedicated and not jumped to fucking, he didn't belong at 47 ever, I don't think. And then naturally he just became a fat gate. And ended up there operating up around there where he should have been marked highest 140, jumped up to get a soft title off Paulie, like and just it was all fucking downhill after Tino, like, but he could have done it so much more in the sport, and every big opportunity he got, he fucking tanked after that, didn't he? Like so as Andy would say, he's one step away. I think he's almost there, isn't he? He fulfilled Andy's prophecy a long time ago.
Prime Broner is when he beat the shit out of Antonio DeMarco. That was prime Broner. That was when he was like,
shit out of him. Yeah, and he was the top lightweight in the world without a doubt at the time.
Yeah, and DeMarco was good. DeMarco was like tough ass, like Margarito type guy.
DeMarco had beaten Linares, hadn't he? Fucking smashed his face into pieces. Yeah.
That's when his career went downhill, because after he beat DeMarco is when all the weight shit, that was just it. That was his peak. Well, and that was a good Broner.
Once he didn't have the ability to weight bully people, he lost it. Like, part of what Broner had was just being bigger, a good puncher, and the ability to intimidate. And once you ran into Marcos Maidana, who was like, bitch, what the fuck is that? And he just, walks it through him and bam, knocks his fucking tooth out, kind of shit.
Legendary.
And so it was, and once that aura is gone, it wasn't so much Maidana just beating Adrien Broner that night, but he shattered his confidence so much, he turned him into a hesitant to throw single shot, big mouth, kind of B-level guy at the end of the day. God, how'd we end up here? I'm going to get us back on track.
Sorry, that's my fault.
No, you're fine. No, I think that was all of our fun. I don't think anyone can hold the blame for that one, James. But yes, that was a fantastic performance by Shakur Stevenson and fuck Adrien Broner. Let's go get back onto that card. A fight that I called pretty damn well. I got to give myself some flowers. Hamza Sheeraz just absolutely wrecking Edgar Berlanga when he started throwing his combinations. It was game over. In the beginning, kind of close. Both guys landed some hard right hands here and there. Then Sheeraz stepping in, finding multiple shots, dropping Berlanga 2 times in the 4th, 1 more in the 5th. Referee seeing enough. And I'll tell you what, Justin, I'm happy more so just to have the Berlanga hype train officially done and over with. It's remarkable. He's yapped and run his mouth and beat fringe contenders and never has been to the point of getting the opportunities he has, but it needs to be over. I'm glad Sheeraz did it.
Sheeraz, that was probably my favorite win of the year last night. I hate Berlanga. I think I said it last week. I cannot stand him. He's just – and then what world are we living in where Berlanga is headlining New York City cards? It's just crazy. He got on that hype train because he had all those knockouts, beating – I think we said last week, the one guy, just got paroled like the day before? I mean, these are like the fucking people he was beating.
He was in prison for like 5 or 6 years. He was fighting 4 divisions above his best.
Berlanga is the most – only reason he was even pushed is because Top Rank was so desperate for another Puerto Rican because they lost Toto and they've had nothing ever since. They're so desperate for a Puerto Rican to come up, and they went all in on Berlanga, which was the wrong guy to freaking go on in. And then Eddie Hearn took him. He's done. Berlanga is just not that good. And Sheeraz looked. It was just me, or he looked 3 times bigger than Berlanga last night. He looked towered over.
Massive. You look at him and you're still like, how did this guy make middleweight? I mean,
so actually, I think we said it last week when we were talking about that he can't use the weight as an excuse. He said that he needed to move up because now I see why. He looks really good at this weight. He looks filled out. It's probably the weight he should be at. Like you said, he had to have been killing himself to get down when he fought Adames. But everything he threw landed. And Berlanga, simple last night, Berlanga is not that good. I think it's kind of funny that Canelo couldn't get him out of there, and Sheeraz just beat the shit out of him, basically, in the end, and Canelo couldn't. But that's a different story for a different time, different fight. But Sheeraz has that good jab. He's got the length, and he just pieced him. And that was funny. I think what was even more fun is every time Berlanga got knocked down, he would like pound his gloves together like he was pissed off that he got hit. Oh man, I got to get up. What a fucking dumbass. He got destroyed. His ring walk, everything about him, like you said, we don't need to see him anymore. We need to be done with him. He's not any good. He's not going to be the top 10 or 15 guy. He just got destroyed by a guy who just moved up to the weight class, who's not even a champion, just beat the hell out of him. We're done. Berlanga, move on. God, I can't stand him. That was my favorite win of the year by far.
We had our boys from the chat, Joe Kennedy and Martina, were in the crowd there, and Joe said that the Puerto Ricans leaving were just like shell shocked. I will get into the other bad stuff for Puerto Ricans over the weekend, but it didn't go well for them, and apparently they just took it very, very hard. Rob, it was a very bad evening for the Puerto Ricans, a very good evening apparently for the Pakistanis and the Brits. Who could all cheer together like it was a fucking cricket match or something, I guess.
We're a great bunch of lads. It was my Boricua was down bad this weekend. Like they need to get this guy out of here. Justin is right. Like David Benavidez, like he's one of the worst things. He's one of these, and I have massive fucking love and connection for New York City, and especially my Puerto Rican brothers over there. And I was talking to one of them recently, and he's told me my man Frankie Crutches has told me that he fell for the okie doke and went to support Berlanga in Vegas, and he'll never make that mistake again. Well, loads did make that mistake, and we had to listen to this guy talk so much shit in the build-up. This guy got beaten by Canelo, and his immediate reaction was, "Not, I'm gonna go get back in the gym. I now know what it takes to be the face of boxing." The face of boxing, Edgar Berlanga. Will you fucking give me a break? Oh, I'm from New York. He's soft. They're soft overseas. It reminded me of remember what was homeboy's name that fought Golovkin when Golovkin was on the come up? Was it Curtis Stevens? And he brought out coughing to the press conference and everything. He was
Yeah,
from
I
New
think that
York,
was
and he was
Curtis.
New York, and they're overseas fighters, and we're from New York, and he's going to do a Fat Joe comes to the ring. And they're lighting him up on Twitter. They said even Berlanga was forced to lean back. I have to say, on the fight, you guys called it like pretty much the way it exactly played out last week. I couldn't make it last week. I was up at the 50 Cent show. But when I was listening back to the pod, I would have said the same thing. Hamza Sheeraz down the middle, like especially with the reset with Andy, like. But it takes a lot of balls for Sheeraz. Maligned after the last performance. Turkey didn't help his brand, did he? Getting up and fucking having a word with him and all at ringside and telling him he's behind on the cards. That kind of soured a lot of people about Hamza Sheeraz. Not his fault, like, but it soured people, but as if like this guy's been looking after. There's a lot of talk that he's been well matched on the way up, and he may be hiding something.
And
But
let's be honest. Like they want to create real stars for the Riyadh season that
and
share something with them.
he's the man.
Yeah, they got the Muslim guy, and it's like we get it. Like it's on its front foot. It is what it is. It's like not corrupt. It's everybody's got their fucking tribe. What are you gonna do?
But yeah, exactly. So but I would say, like, normally when a fighter goes to a new camp, they maybe have a fucking fighter that's they have a fight against somebody that's a warm up, or someone that's a just a taking over fight or whatever, just to feel each other out. But came over to Dublin, trained in Ballybrack, I think, with Andy Lee. And let's say a guy like him is made from to work with, tall, rangy, that kind of upright style and throwing straight punches down the middle. Well, fuck me, hit Berlanga with everything down the middle last night. Berlanga, I guess, showed some kind of balls trying to get up, but he's embarrassed himself, hasn't he? His behavior at the press conference and all, like, he's just a fucking moron. Like, he was a moron throwing the fucking wig at Oscar. Oscar's had it back at him, hasn't he? He's taken a picture on the private jet saying, "Oh, Berlanga, you got knocked out." He brought the fucking stripper stuff to the press conference to throw at Oscar and all. He's a moron, like. So he got everything he deserved last night. When fighters talk trash, you have to back it up, and when it goes wrong spectacularly like that, we're on your ass, and that's fucking what. Get this fucking guy out of here now. We don't need to see Berlanga back. Like, he's not going to be the face of boxing. He's not going to be the face of Puerto Rico boxing either, because the Puerto Ricans are off the turn on him by all accounts. But yeah, they were bad for the boy was this weekend. Like, fuck me.
Yeah, it went really poorly for him, and I think that I honestly think his reaction, everything in the ring he was just embarrassed, 100% embarrassed by it all. But James, I mean, it was an excellent performance by Sheeraz. You only take out what's in front of you. But what I think is kind of tough for him. They're talking the Canelo fight for him next year. I mean, that's a big step, but unfortunately, as much as there's a good depth of talent at 175 pounds in the UK of plenty of guys you could get it on with at domestic scraps, at 168, not a whole lot of domestic dance partners for him, are there?
Well, to be honest, I feel like Hamza Sheeraz is exactly what you guys have alluded to. He's been positioned and maneuvered, and that's not to say he's not a capable or a good fighter. I think he's quite good. But there are a couple of examples, the last fight being an example of how he, similar to Canelo actually, if it's a close fight, given his promotional situation, I think you can lean his way. And I feel like one thing I'm always going to hold against Sheeraz, even though it's not personally his fault, is the Bradley Skeet fight, which I've mentioned on this podcast before.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a dubious stoppage, wasn't it, towards the end? Skeet was kind of boxing him, but...
It wasn't the stoppage. There was a Roy Jones Jr., Montel Griffin type situation where Bradley Skeet was down and Sheeraz just bombed him in the face. And the referee didn't... I don't even think he took a point, and that was pretty egregious.
Yeah.
So, not that the performance against Berlanga wasn't good. I was quite impressed by it. That was actually the one fight from last night that I got to see in any kind of depth. And I feel like the finish, the first knockdown was quite David Benavidez-esque when you give the physical dimensions and the way he was able to put together tight hooks. I feel like that was quite impressive.
Good call.
As for Berlanga, I'm not quite sure where to place him. Like, you guys are making me relieved that I'm not really on social media like that, because it seems like it's quite annoying. But
bring me back to that, by the way, towards the end of the show. I'll come back to social media for a special listener. Sorry, go ahead.
but he doesn't necessarily irritate me like that, like the same way he looks like he's irritating you guys, only because look how many like fighters, you'll have to forgive me guys, especially like American type fighters, especially from places like New York or LA or anywhere that's famous and is kind of deemed to be this kind of tough place. Fighters from those areas, cities,
they have an unearned sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, they tend to be quite braggadocious, and it seems like the achievements of past fighters from those cities and places, it seems like they kind of take it as part of themselves, like it's something that they can brag about, even though they've done nothing to equal those accomplishments.
I'm from New York City.
Yeah,
that's
I'm from New York City.
Isn't it? I'm from New York City. Oh my God!
It's a localization of kind of like the way we are with nationalism and shit like that.
Yeah,
like,
exactly that. Yeah,
your ass in World War whatever. It's like, oh yes, how many bodies did you rack up, Jane? You weren't there.
That's why I like Marvin Hagler and him, because he was just mean. That was his persona. He was just pissed. He was just mean. He didn't have to talk shit. Those are the guys I like Crawford. He don't really talk a lot of shit. He just backs it up, and it's just tough. But it's the guys that talk the most 90% of the time are the ones that usually can't back it for the most part.
And that's why the ones that make so much money, when they open their mouth and they're able to back it up, they're such a big draw, because people want to see that. People want to see that shit. Yeah.
That's why Floyd made so much money, because he talked shit, but he could walk it.
I hate quoting Kid Rock, Rob, but I will quote Kid Rock. And they say I'm cocky, and I'm like, what? It ain't bragging, motherfucker, when you back it up.
That's it. This is it. Well, Kid got rocked last night, Berlanga. He didn't fucking back it up. He got his head float off his shoulder. Oh my God.
God, I can't scroll down all the way. They changed the goddamn thing here. Who the hell else do we have in the chat here? Identify yourself. Who just arrived? Oh, it might have been Ames, who's on the plane.
Oh, that's right. He said you had to get up.
He said it'll be easier to listen just joining. So I removed you.
Ames joining the worst Mile High Club in history.
Nah. Do you watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Rob?
Oh.
Oh, God damn it, man. There's one where Danny DeVito is trying to join the Mile High Club, but he didn't know it existed, and he called it the Air Sex Society.
Well, I like the acronym. Put it that way.
So, anyway, let's see here. Whoever, I don't know who popped in, and if I should have removed you. Pop in again. I honestly can't see the bottom. They changed something with the fucking interface here, and you fucked up something, StreamYard. So, yeah, it says need help at the bottom. Yeah, I fucking need help. I need this shit out of my fucking way. Anyhow. So, let's see here. But yeah, I mean, we'll see where Sheeraz goes from here. They're obviously looking at Canelo. He needs something to interim. I'm thinking it's going to be a whatchamacallit, a softer touch. It's an interim defense. They'll dig deep down into that top 15 to find somebody for him, waiting that out. But that all depends on how Canelo Crawford goes, and who knows? That'll be another discussion. Well, I don't know if that's another discussion.
I'll tell you what, if the house is on, Sheeraz, you better bet Canelo's getting that fucking decision, because they'll be wanting to make Canelo versus Sheeraz like what they on Netflix to really fucking expand the brand. Anyway, that's fucking, we're going down a rabbit hole there. We don't even know how that fight's going to play out yet.
Yeah, no clue as far as that one goes. And whoever might be in here with us now, if you are Ames, don't say anything. If you're someone other than Ames, feel free to take yourself off of mute and identify yourself. And I'm going to complain to StreamYard.
How you doing, Ledger? Okay.
Hey, there's Des. Okay, it's Des.
Fucking hell. I thought we were holding a seance for a minute. Fucking hell.
No, I can't figure this out. Cool. So, Des, good time for you to hop in here. We've gone over Shakur and Zepeda and Berlanga and Sheeraz. So, if you want to get your bit in on those two, go right on ahead, sir.
Yeah, listen, thanks for having me on tonight. It's good to speak to you all. Is James online as well?
Absolutely.
And indeed.
It's a big party today.
Yeah, with James. Is Justin here?
Yep, he was able to make it on time. He is such a loyal soldier.
Brilliant. All right, so we've got Justin, James, Rob. It's lovely to be part of the chat. I thought Shakur stepped up, grew into the fight. I didn't have a lot in it going into the championship round. Then I just thought Shakur showed his class, pulled away, his feet, his angles, his combination punches. They were the difference between him and Zepeda, and really good performance. That's what we want to see from Shakur. I know Rob's always been high on Shakur, but there's a lot of boxing fans, probably Rob to one side, that have been very frustrated with Shakur and not quite seen that talent. Last night he showed it to us. Now he's still an acquired taste because he's not that puncher that goes looking for you, but he's a very skillful operator. He's got he gets behind the shoulder roll. He's got really good judging of distance, great combination puncher, and he throws every punch very accurately. So we're not going to see a Tommy Hearns type fighter in Shakur Stevenson. We're going to see more like a Floyd Mayweather type fighter that works on skills and hitting, not being hit. But last night was an example of the type of Shakur that can step up in a really big fight. And Zepeda's a big fighter. So great performance from Shakur. What was the other one you mentioned? And by the way, I've got to say, Zepeda's a good fighter, and Zepeda brought something to that fight, particularly for the first 8 rounds. So I don't want to downplay Zepeda. He's a world-class operator, but Shakur showed why so many people have been high on him and why his ceiling is so high talent-wise. And what was the other fight you spoke about already, mate?
That would Berlanga and Sheeraz.
Yeah, that was like
easy money for anyone who bet on that fight on Sheeraz.
Right?
Easy fucking money.
1. Yeah,
you guys were getting 3 to 1 on him.
He was 3 to 1. Fuck me, would have had a nibble on that.
For the stoppage.
For the stoppage. Okay.
Yeah. Would have had a go at that too.
He opened up a slight underdog, and by fight time, had worked himself into a favorite. And I never could figure out why he wasn't a big favorite. Like, Berlanga is shit. I'm sorry, people. Berlanga is shit.
I think we've got to look back at Hamza, and this is a kid up until last night as largely flattered to deceive. He had the Bradley Skeet debacle. He's been manoeuvred around domestic opponents. He's not really fought anyone that had any chance of beating him. Amo Williams, he was very tepid around him. The Adames fight was a scandal, and we all saw it. So going into last night, it was about Hamza stepping up. And it's funny how machinations in boxing all coming together can create an image. Andy Lee being in the corner, Andy Lee bringing potentially that Manny Stewart, Kronk style, Hamza with his long arms and beautiful punches, long shots, but when he's in space, when he's in the pocket, throwing them tight on the inside. He reminded me of like a peak. When I say reminded me of, I'm not saying as good as, I'm saying he reminded me of like a young Tommy Hearns or a Donald Curry in the way he was so aggressive with his short punches, but knew how to throw them long punches too. He was straight down the middle, 1-2. When he was in close, slight angles, brilliant inside hooks. And Hamza, you used this expression last week, Matty. You said he had a very primitive style, and he's very basic. He's very straight up, and he doesn't have them subtle movements and them rudiments of his game that Adames has. I was speaking about it today with someone, and Adames has always got something moving. He's always got his head moving, he's bobbing, he's swinging, he's up and down, he's throwing shots while he's moving. And that really caught Hamza out. So we'll come back to that in a minute. But just on the Berlanga fight, Hamza done everything he had to do. He looked brilliant. Andy Lee's done a wonderful job with him because we've never seen anything close to that in Hamza's career before. Perhaps the jumping weight, the 7 pounds has helped him. It would have helped him. Hamza could even go to 75. He's a big lad, and he carries his weight really well. But there's always going to be a little bit of a question mark over Hamza until he steps up and fights someone who we're all certain and sure about. The Adames fight really hit Hamza's stock, but last night was a step in the right direction. I don't think boxing people are overly confident in Berlanga. We all kind of know what he is. He didn't help himself in the build-up to this fight. He's come across as really unendearing, not very likable, charmless, cringe. I didn't like anything about Edgar Berlanga, and I'm really glad Hamza won the way he did. We said last week that for Hamza to look good last night, he's got to be very proactive, assertive, very dominant with his jab. He's got to be alpha. He's got to be the governor. And he was all those things. So I suppose I'm giving him a backhanded compliment. Last night, Hamza, you stepped up. You improved your stock. But I still want to see Hamza in there with a top-class kid at super middle. But they're quite thin on the ground. So perhaps they're waiting for Hamza to see what happens with Canelo and Bud. Maybe the Canelo fight is something that can happen for Hamza. Maybe they might move Chris Eubank Jr. in line for Hamza. That would be a good fight domestically over here. But certainly, Hamza is in a positive place. Last night was a brilliant result. And he did everything we wanted him to do.
And do you know what? He has to get credit as well because he showed massive balls to come back from the Adamas, go straight back to the drawing board.
Immediate fight, yeah, brilliant, yeah.
And I heard him talking after the fight, and he said he's sure he's gonna finish his career with Andy. So that relationship will get better, I think, over the next while when we see him. I'd say I'm not against that Eubank fight. I hate the rematch for Eubank and Ben. We've seen it now. You know what I mean? We don't need to fucking see it again, although it is money talks. But him and Eubank domestically would be the perfect fight to set up him versus Canelo, providing Canelo comes through against Bud. And then he could still, you know, if Canelo retires after that, if he loses or whatever, then the belts open up. So, yeah, him versus Eubank would be the play, big domestic fight. But I thought, under pressure last night, because he's under massive pressure. You're going away from home, you're fighting in fucking the guy's backyard. He's talked all this trash. If it goes wrong for you, if it turns out, you know, if he gets clocked, there is question marks about that as well. We haven't seen Sheeraz properly fucking clocked. He has got that upright style. I like what Des was saying about him turning the short shots last night because I thought those hooks, he's with the master of the hook, isn't he? And he has that range. So,
Rob, I think that
really
was
well.
Rob, I think that was a slight difference. Like Hamza showed last night, he's got more facets to his game. He could do it long, straight down the middle. But I think when he was close up with Berlanga, he threw brilliant shots on the inside. I think that was a difference to last night. I think that was a real positive sign for Hamza.
Yeah, definitely. And I think he has he's wider star appeal, obviously, in the Arab nations. He's big in the UK, potentially. And he has that kind of fun. We still don't know. Like I said, that's what makes his fights interesting because we still don't know. Is someone going to stand him on his head or what's he going to look like if he has to come through the fire?
Yes.
But we'll see
I'm going
it
to
now.
tell you something that they have to accept. There are very few fighters in the history of boxing with those kind of lanky physical dimensions who aren't ultimately chinny as fuck. It just comes with the territory because you don't have the base. I hate to get into calf talk because it's a little bit, drawn out. But the size of your legs is part of your ability to build a base and take a punch. That's part of why Canelo is so sturdy. Like Sheeraz, no matter how good or bad he might end up being, is going to be knocked out. I will tell you that now.
My thing is I try to give him credit. I think Berlanga is trash. So my thinking is him at 168. We don't need to hear about Canelo. That he's not earned that right to fight Canelo. I want to see him beat Bektemir. I want to see him fight Pacheco. I want to see him fight somebody like that before he can earn the right to fight Canelo. Just because, the best way to put it is they're trying to give him the Canelo fight just because he's Muslim. That's bullshit. I don't care. I think that's BS. I want him to. Beating Berlanga doesn't earn you a fight versus Canelo. He needs to beat somebody in the top 5 at 168, somebody in the top 7. So you've got Pacheco, Bektemir. You've got guys like that. Beat one of them, then you've earned the right to say, well, I might want to get a Canelo fight. Or beating Berlanga at 168 he looked good, but it's just not impressive because Berlanga's trash. So I want to see him step up.
He is trash, but Canelo still couldn't get him out of there. Maybe that says more about Canelo at this stage.
Maybe it does.
I think it's just these days the way the landscape is. It's the fighter they're building is going to get the opportunities.
You're right.
It's just it's the way it goes.
Yeah, I just want, as far as boxing point of view, I just think I want to see him fight a Pacheco or a Bektemir to really see where he's at 168 because that'll show is he legit or not, because like Matt just said, those guys are going to tag him. They're going to hit him, and we're going to see pretty soon if he can handle it or not, because Bektemir and Pacheco are going to
someone in the chat said Plant. That's a good name for him. Plant to be a
good.
That would be
that would be decent. But
Plant
his last fight.
Justin, do you think that's what it is, though? Do you think that's the motivation behind Sheeraz and Canelo that being floated? Do you think it's because they're looking for a superstar that can get the Muslim international community involved in boxing and just drag some of that audience over, or like
it's Riyadh season? That's what they're looking for.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
The way boxing is now, every season's Riyadh season. That's just where the money's coming from. So, like,
if his name was Hamilton Shaw from Tulsa, Oklahoma, he would be considered right now for the Canelo fight.
Absolutely. The thing is,
that's what it is. Rob's right. It is what it is. Politics. It's not going to change.
Hold on. Let James finish his point.
I'm not like pulling that on you because I disagree with you. Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying that makes total sense because he's gone from a powerful promoter in Frank Warren, where he would have had plenty of success here. I mean, look at Amir Khan. Like, there are massive amounts of people from Pakistani Muslim backgrounds in the UK. I'm from Birmingham, innit? So, like, there's loads of that population here. So,
I think you might have broke up there a little bit.
But I think you alluded to it earlier, whereby can you hear me still?
Yep, you're back.
Sorry. So it makes total sense that the powers that be will get behind this guy who could bring in the biggest crowds possible. It's quite an interesting thought what would happen if Sheeraz went against Canelo and it was a really close fight. Like, who would get the nod? Because Canelo, as big of a superstar as he is, he's probably in like his last handful of fights now, you would think. And Sheeraz, being as young as he is, has probably got however many left. And it would be an interesting signifier of a changing of the guard if it went 12 and it was close. Or even if it wasn't close and Sheeraz got the decision, as he tends to get.
I'll tell you, they've got to capitalize on this, and you're correct about Riyadh season is basically everything that is not Ramadan, as I understand it. Exactly, so that leaves like 10 months of the year, essentially, or more. That'd be Riyadh season. Like, it's a very large stretch of time. But I guess at the end, sure, I mean, there's a lot to like about Sheeraz too. And let me just say, like it's part of it too is I think that he has he's got a good personality. I think he seems generally likable as well. He's not like super quick-witted, but he's sharp enough and well-spoken. So I think he's a decent enough ambassador, and I think that's what Turkey's looking for. And I know aircraft carrier listed a number of people. A lot of those are American Muslims though too, so that's going to be a little bit of a different story, I think. But I think that he they're really trying to find some ambassadors for this, for culturally speaking, because I mean you're talking well over 1 billion people with a massively growing wealth, and it's obviously a market they got to tap into, and for the love of God, please do tap into that market more and quit fucking charging us for pay-per-views for all this shit, for the love of fucking God. It's I think Sheeraz could be an interesting one to watch, and he's in the right place to maybe catch some guys who are on the slide. So we'll see. But I'll tell you another fight that was on there this one went to the cards. It was very contentious. It was Subriel Matias taking a split decision over Alberto Puello in a fight that most people thought Puello won. I had a Matias in a parlay, and even I thought that he probably lost that fight. But I've ended up on the bad side a bunch of times, so I'm not going to complain about that one whatsoever. But Justin, this was a thoroughly entertaining fight. I mean, back and forth, Puello using the ring, finding his moments to land some good hard punches. And eventually Matias kind of slowed down. And I thought Puello probably got the last 3 rounds clearly, I give or take. But when those scores came out, I was a little bit surprised. But Matias rolls on. Puello stays where he is and has to try to find a way back to a championship. Actually, I take that back. Turkey says he'll be getting it after the title's defended against Dalton Smith. So he'll be right back in the mix there. But it was what did you think? Did you think Matias got this one, or were you on the Puello crowd?
I was on the Puello crowd. I thought he won probably the last 3 or 4 rounds, like you said. I thought he finished way stronger, and he was. You don't see Matias hurt much, but he hurt him. He hurt him those final 2 rounds. He had him going. Puello finished way stronger. I don't think anybody in a million years would have seen Matias getting a tight decision in that fight. I mean, I don't think anybody would have bet that coming into it. That was just not way. But Puello, I guess they gave Matias the fight for simply because he was coming forward. It's one of those things we've seen 100 times, maybe 1,000 times. He had to have got it for the aggression. I mean, he did. And you can't go by boxing stats. I mean, he did land more. I think he did throw a little bit more, but that never really actually says what happened in the fight. I thought Puello finished a whole lot stronger, and he won that fight. So that means by the judges' cards, not all of them gave Puello, I don't think, the sweep at the end. And you had to really give it him the last 4 rounds, especially the last 2.
I'm going to see if they have the scorecards up somewhere.
Puello was outworking him. He outlanded him. He just did everything right those last 3-4 rounds. So then you think to yourself, I don't see where they come to that decision where Matias won. People always say, the judges with aggression. That's the only reason he won. They had to have gave him the fight because he was the guy coming forward. Puello didn't get any credit, I guess, for all those really good uppercuts he landed. Puello was landing really good body. Puello did enough. Puello should have won the fight, period. But that's Puello's MO. This is his 4th straight close decision or split decision fight he's in. He's like the Badu Jack of this weight class. He just, for some reason, in the judge's eyes, he just barely does enough, or just he's just right there on the line. But he kind of got. I wouldn't say, you can't say robber. You can't say it was the worst decision ever, but he won. I don't see how you could give him the loss. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the scorecards listed, unfortunately. Because I would like that. That's one I would definitely like to check out for sure there. I mean, because I am a Matias fan. I mean, who doesn't like watching a guy like that? And I would bet on him, and I didn't think he won that fight. But Dez, I feel like last week we were kind of both right and we were kind of both wrong in our own ways on the way that we saw this fight going down. And it just Matias by decision was not really on the front of many people's minds going into yesterday.
Was you asking me that question? Because my wife, I went a bit wonky.
Yeah. Seeing you and I, between the two of us, we were both right on some of this and we were both wrong. It kind of fell in the middle of how we both kind of thought we saw this fight going, and it kind of fell into no man's land. Given that, not many people saw this happen in this way.
Yeah, but there was only a gnat's cock between them. There was nothing in it. There's a 1-round swing. I think I had Puello 7-5, but it could have gone 6-6 or 7-5 the other way. It was a clash of styles, and it was a beautiful clash of styles. And when I say a clash, it's what you go for. Matias was really aggressive on the front foot, investing heavily in the body, then coming up top. But Puello was very disciplined, very tough, got behind the jab, tried to keep distance, fought inside when he had to. I thought it was a brilliant fight to watch. One of the best fights of the night, best fights of the weekend. And it really is what you go for. I can't argue. I thought Puello just got it, but I can't argue that Matias was given it because it's what you go for. The judges clearly went for Matias' aggressive front foot style, his body work, his up close work, and the fact that he was hunting Puello all night. I wondered how Matias would be second half if he was losing the first half, but he was in every round. It was that sort of fight. So I thought Puello still won it, but no arguments, no complaints. But Matias was in every round. It was a very even fight. It was very split. So I think what we said last week, if Matias goes into round 6 behind on the cards, not having success, it'd be interesting to see how he navigates through the second half of the fight. But going into this halfway mark, Matias was well in that fight, and he was a live dog in that fight. He was having his successes. So he never he never had a cliff to fall off.
I'll tell you what I think kind of caught him off guard a bit in that fight, Des, and you had kind of thought that he was going to be more obviously down kind of around the 8th round, and it was going to kind of finish him off basically in the fight, and he'd limp to the finish line, which he kind of did. But he wasn't necessarily down at that point in time. And I think he was just kind of caught off guard because it looked like Puello was going to wilt, like kind of 5th going into the 7th. And he got a second wind. And I don't think that Matias is used to somebody getting a second wind against him. And that just, and he just kind of was, in that way, I think you were right. It kind of sucked a little bit of something out of him. And he wasn't the same in the championship rounds as he was proceeding, 9, 10, more so 9. I think the last 3 rounds, fairly clear Puello.
And I didn't think Matias, you're absolutely right, but I didn't think Matias would be so consistent over 12. I didn't think he would be so consistent down the stretch. I didn't think he would go about his work so thoroughly every round and not be perturbed by Puello's style and his jab. And Puello's a really good fighter. Puello had so much success in there last night. And I agree with Justin. Like, some fighters never get the rub. For whatever reason, Marvin Hagler wasn't fancied by the judges. Justin said Badu Jack. That's another great example. And I think Puello's going to fall into that bracket. He's never going to be favoured by judges. And if you get someone like a Matias, I think that style could possibly make Puello look lazy and catch him out at times. It did last night. But for me and for boxing people, I think it's quite unanimous. We really enjoyed Puello's work. We saw the nuance in it. But there wasn't a lot in it. It was a close one, no arguments. But I thought Puello, both kids were very consistent and very constant throughout the fight. But I just think Puello, with that style, perhaps like Shakur showed last night in the championship rounds, he needs to have another facet to his game. He needs to have a gear he can step on, just to make a decision for the judges that, no, I'm the better kid in here. I know what I'm doing. And I think he let Matias into. He let the judges give it to Matias, I felt he was unlucky there last night.
I know he's Dominican, but he's very Cuban in the sense that he is fine with winning a round by a small margin as long as he feels like he has won the round. And in his mind, the only job he has is to create that margin.
That's a tightrope to walk, though, isn't it? That's a tightrope.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you mentioned Hagler not being the judge's favorite, but one of the things that Leonard did to be the judge's favorite, and Eubank did it in the second Ben fight as well, is that if you're going to be economic and you're going to fight on the back foot, that the last 30 seconds you flurry. So you
got to nick that round, didn't you? Yeah, absolutely.
You got to just finish the round with something big, put it in the judges' heads. The bells rang, you've walked away looking like you've won the round. Matias, I think, got a lot of credit last night because he was on the front foot all night, but his shots were thudding as well. Whereas Puello's work was good, but he wasn't rocking him. And judges go off that sometimes. I mean, all the criteria for scoring a fight, it's never changed. It's the same for every fucking fight. But some judges just go on front forward fighters and aggressive work, and thudding shots. So sometimes the shots that are not as concussive or not as snappy, they don't register in the judges' heads. That's why I think if you're going to fight with that economic style, at least let the fucking do a bit of shoe shining, as Joe Gallagher would say, in the last 30 seconds. Make sure you win the round.
And Rob, on interesting thing with Puello, in his last 5, he's won 3 by split, lost 1 by majority. So he does run it close, and it kind of goes against the argument that he could be the new Badu Jack. But if he keeps fighting like that, if he doesn't put himself a bit of distance between him and his opponent in the championship rounds, I think we're going to see a lot more of that from. I think we'll get a lot more decisions like that against Puello, because when you've got a kid like Matias, it's easier to go that way.
You can only have so many close fights that you win before
That's the
you
point.
lose.
That's the
one.
point. Yeah.
And whether you feel they were robbed or they've robbed others or whatever along the way, if you're a person who just leans towards being in close fights, it catches up to you at some point in time. And that's the reason the guys who are undefeated or very close to for very long careers, they either found ways to separate themselves more during a round, or like Hagler, like Crawford, they just said, fuck these judges, I'm knocking you out.
I don't feel too bad for Puello. He's going back to the Dominican Republic with a wad full of cash. That can't be the worst thing in the world. Like, he'll be fine. Like,
you can't feel that bad. You can't feel that bad for anyone who goes with that much cash to a place with women who have that great of asses. Like, he's gonna have a fucking ball. It's just written in the stars.
Dreaming nights like these, Maddie.
Man, you just go ahead and punch me in the face if that's the end result of my pain and suffering.
Sidebar, nice to have Lampley back on the zone.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, absolutely. He's a legendary nights guy, man. And he's
brilliant.
Such an iconic presence, and even now, imagine how old he is. He's still bringing so much more to the table than any of the new breed of commentators, man. Such a sick move to bring him back.
He had he has a book coming out, doesn't he? Because he had a full interview on the Rogan podcast. And
yeah, I was just going to say, what a great interview.
No, but I lost my dad recently and everything. So I'm a bit on the edge still. Like, and I was listening to it, and I was trying to get through it. And the fucker, he's crying every fucking 2 minutes. I'm like, Lampley, I've turned this off, man, for another while. Like, I'll come back to this one.
It started with him crying about Manny, and I'm like,
his eyes out. Jesus Christ, Jim, give me a break, will you? For fuck's sake. But no, his insights into I thought the story he told about Canelo training in the equestrian center was unbelievable.
That was interesting.
Canelo gets a fucking. We loved him like up until the Golovkin, and then everybody turned on him because he was fucking what you call it, he was on the Mexican beat. So there was an asterisk over him, but like over his career, Lampley is right. Like, he's never been fucking decked. Like, Cotto's brother buzzed him on his debut on HBO, and you've never really seen him hurt since then. Like, but he reckons that he trains in the equestrian center before he goes boxing training. So he goes and jumps horses there for 2 hours, and then goes to the gym in the afternoon. So he does his leg work by riding horses, and fucking does his boxing work upper body. Like, so good insights from Lampley.
Yeah.
That's why he's back, baby.
No, that was a good interview. I'm not much for Rogan, but that's up his alley. Like, I think when he talks sports, that's when it's great, because when opinion matters. And Rogan is all right. Like, when he can have an opinion and it like carries water. It's like in interviews where he shouldn't have an opinion, but somehow does, that everything.
Why do people get so fucking hung up on this guy's opinion? He's just a fucking very bad comedian who's a sports commentator who talks shit while he's fucking smoking weed. It's not much fucking different to a lot of things. You know what I mean?
I think it's more
He's
frustrating.
taking his opinion so seriously.
I think it's more frustrating for people is the idea that so many people take what he and his guests say, particularly a lot of his guests say, for gospel.
Well, they should start watching his comedy, and then maybe they'd change their opinion.
Dude, his comedy's gone so downhill. Like, go like 10 years ago and all before that, Rogan was a really good comedian. The last special,
no, he was not.
Oh, he had some good shit. Like, I'm not gonna say he was A class, but I get why he was a popular and successful comedian.
Stinks. He's one of the fucking worst comedians of all time. But fair play to him. He's a great.
Anyway, wasn't he the Fear Factor guy?
Yes, you had Fear Factor.
Okay, I never watched the show. I thought he was when he had hair.
No, the one I never got how he got so big was Dane Cook. That was the one that was just always blew my fucking mind. Like, he had two good bits, I think. What? What was that, Justin?
I said, don't blow your mind anymore because Dane Cook. I think he's done. Anyways,
yeah, he flamed out, but yeah, that one. Anyhow, leading away from Comedy fucking Center. Who saw the fight between Imam Katiev and David Morell? That was the one thing I could not catch, and Morell apparently was very lucky to get away with it.
I saw the highlights. I tell you what, Morell got caught doing a shoulder roll mid-distance on the back foot pulling his head out. I'd never seen anything like it. I fucking said, good. I was saying, fuck, when I saw that knockdown, I said, good. What the fuck is this fella doing? Like, obviously a talented guy, not much in the fight, but there's a good argument for, how do you say his name? Ikatayev, for him winning. I thought he was the aggressor. Exactly what you just said. I thought he was the aggressor. I thought he landed the cleaner shots. Made the pace the whole night. And Morell was flashy without really showing any. But that fucking showed. Well, watch that knockdown, man. It's one of the cleanest knockdowns you see. Now he recovered well, like, but fuck me, pulling his fucking heads in the air. He's got the shoulder down. Oh my god, made for a knockout. Like, but yeah, your McAfee had done by, like, his stock would have gone up massively for if he could have got him out of there as well. If he'd have hurt him a little bit more with that shot, he could have finished it. Like,
now,
but
But Rob, do you accept that maybe there was some karmic justice involved here because Katiev was exposed this week for having failed an anti-doping test?
There you go.
Yeah. And they still let him fight. He was supposed to be banned, and they still let him fight.
Wait,
got robbed on the cards.
No, fuck that guy. Team Morell. Fucking hell.
What? So he had an adverse finding or a straight dirty finding?
He had a dirty finding. Let me see if I could let me see if I can pull up the specifics. It was for clomamine, I think it was. Let's see.
So they said to a Cuban lad who turned over, "Do you still want to take this fight?" And he said yes. So there's a fucking big surprise. Jesus Christ.
You've got to love boxing, man. Like, this is why the discussion about how PEDs are so disgusting, etc. Like,
so you killed him.
Yeah, it's just money. Like, that's all anyone gives a shit about.
James, I determined that the closest thing to describing boxing was the description. I'm going to mess it up for the show. Whose Line Is It Anyway? If you're ever watching it, the show where the points don't matter and we make up the rules as we go. Like,
essentially, yeah. That's a fair assessment of the situation. But when people get on their high horses, so for instance, when Canelo tested positive.
Canelo on his high horse.
So he was doing his legs in the morning, top boy.
So here you go. So the testing was by the International Testing Agency. The result was from an April 9th, 2024 sample was positive for clomiphene. The ITA reported Wednesday. It was Wednesday of this last week. Fight week, and they declared Katiev ineligible to compete from June 25th until June 25th, 2027. And they just shrugged and said, fuck it. We can't fill this slot. We're going ahead. Like, they really just don't give a fuck anymore.
Was it different governing bodies, Matty?
Well, that's the thing. I've never heard of the International Testing Agency before, so who fucking knows how all that works anymore?
I think it's
not central. It's not, the sport's not centralized, right? Like, you kind of pick and choose.
No, that's not. I think it's a similar thing to Conor Benn. While he was banned by the British Boxing Board, he could travel and fight in America. I think it's the same situation. There was two different governing bodies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I've never heard of that.
I don't think anyone's thinking of this. Do you think maybe that guy produced a 28-page dossier and had a word with Piers Morgan? Maybe that happened. We don't know. Fucking outrageous that is, man. Fuck's sake.
I'm glad he lost then. Fuck him.
Yeah, Justin, did you say you didn't catch the fight? I can't remember.
I watched this one. I watched it. I didn't know he was a drug cheat. I didn't even catch that part. I had a long day Saturday. I didn't read about him cheating on drugs, but I think Morell did something I haven't seen in a long time. Maybe I've never seen. When he got knocked down doing his weird shoulder roll, did you see him get up and apologize to the crowd and walk around the ring and apologize to the crowd? he got up and put his hands up.
Sorry, this guy's on drugs. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, he did. He bowed to all the Cuban and fans in there. He was like bouncing, "I'm sorry, I apologize," like apologizing. And then he went to his corner. I've never seen a guy apologize for getting knocked down. He was so. I don't know what the fuck he did. I've never seen that before.
That's great. It sounds like when the fucking Yakuza guy got knocked through the window on The Simpsons about forgiveness, please.
The announcers had.
But he knew he did that shoulder roll before he got dropped. That's why he was apologizing. He was this fucking stupid shit.
The announcers had Katiev, however the fuck you want to say it. They had him winning. They said it was a robbery. They were all like, I didn't think it was a robbery. I think Morell was a little too overconfident. But Katiev just walked in with his hand. Morell almost, if that had been a 12-round fight, he would have knocked Katiev out. So the steroids didn't work that well.
Okay.
Because he would have stopped Katiev. He was really he was beating the shit. He was really nailing him in those final 2 rounds. And if it had been 12, he would have knocked him out. Katiev was hurt. He was hurting, but they just didn't. But I didn't know he was on it. So the steroids helped a little bit, but they were going to get him through a 12-round fight. So maybe that's why they let him slide. But yeah, I don't care. I don't know where the announcers got the idea that they just kept saying it was a robbery. And the DAZN announcers, Mannix and all them, they're fucking awful.
Morell is funny to watch as well.
Writer.
Yeah. Morell he's hard to watch because he's messing, like he's messing in the ring, like he got caught because he was acting the bollocks, like as we'd say in Ireland, like he's messing in the ring, he's taking the piss, like that's how he got caught, like, and he just does too much of that, like there's times where he should sit down, and he could have probably fucking beat this guy out of sight last night if he had just been. He just doesn't look dialed in, does he? Like.
No, you're right. You called it when he stopped doing his little dancing and throwing his gloves up in the air and like trying to like do the Olay Billy Joe Saunders look up in the crowd shit. When he decided to throw, he started just pounding Katiev. He could have done that the first 2-3 rounds. He could have.
Maybe they'll get a rematch of this one. It's because it's not like 175. Like what at 175? Like how many dance partners does Morell have? The only thing that came to mind off of this is a confidence building fight. Like I'd be fine with Berlanga moving up to 175 and watching Morell fucking obliterate him. That would find that quite entertaining. And good for him to do it. But there's just not very many dance partners there. So maybe we could get a rematch of this, especially from everything I've heard. It was an entertaining fight. And bear with me one moment so I don't forget Ryan Deal getting in on the Lampley, 10 New Zealand Buccarinos, saying Lampley stealing Porky's lines, talking about Hamza Sheeraz, asking how big were his feet. And but you know what they say about dudes with big feet? It takes more fabric to make their shoes. Anyhow, but
what if you're Katiev? Wouldn't you just take more steroids since they don't care?
Yeah, fuck it.
For the rematch, just take more. They don't give a shit. Just take more.
Well, let me round out on this card. Like it wasn't a big money thing because I didn't get like huge odds on it. So I had a 4-leg parlay. I took Junto Nakatani, Brian Norman Jr., Hamza Sheeraz and Subriel Matias. And I won it because the Matias decision was bunk, and the only other kind of the only 4-legger other one in recent memory I remember winning was one with the Erickson Lubin fight over Jesus Ramos. And I hate to break it to people, but when it comes to boxing, specifically when it comes to betting on boxing, if you want to go fucking legs and shit like that, you have to fucking sniff out what you might call corruption, dirty shit, bad scoring, whatever the hell it is to get out of it. Because if I had technically predicted all those fights right, as in the way that the people saw them, I wouldn't have won. But because I picked wrong on one of them, I got it right. And that's how fucked up this sport is. No one cares if people are on drugs. No one cares about the score.
No one should.
No one cares if a guy takes a knee and goes to his corner because he gets shit in his fucking eye after taking a punch. No one gives a flying fuck. And you just have to see through it.
And it goes deeper than that. All the fucking friends of those guys and hangers on, they don't give a shit either. Because the minute you lose, they're going to be fucking gone as well. Like a fighter has to be the loneliest sport in the world, despite all the massive amounts of cash and fame that you can have at the top percentile. Like other than that, it has to be one of the fucking loneliest and hardest gigs in the world. Like, because you really are just a commodity, a fighting commodity. Like.
Well, and nobody can it's boxing also has a heavy element of personal responsibility and discipline because nobody can force you to do it. Ultimately, your trainers are supposed to be disciplinarians, but they're your employees. How do you really fucking check them? Check your fighters a lot of the time. Like, boxing is should be, because it's ultimate discipline. Boxing should also be ultimate merit, but it is not.
But that's why they're all fucking nuts. Like they have these you know what I mean? Like they have these pent up periods of like, okay, 6 month, 8 month, 10 month at the beginning of their careers. They'll be fighting more regularly. They'll be more disciplined. They'll have these dreams in their heads. Their purses will steadily increase. And then it's like, at some point, you need to let the release valve off. And when they do that, a lot of them, they go off the rails, or they come from such a shot environment anyway that they're like half messed in the head by the time they even debut. Like, you don't get posh kids being boxers, really, do you? I mean, there's maybe some notable examples, but more time it's like rough people from rough places.
Yeah, you have no options. Like getting punched in the head isn't for people who have a real load of career paths laid out in front of them.
Yeah, exactly. You can lionize it and romanticize it as much as you want, but it is a very gritty, hard, lonely, as Rob said, place, and it's no wonder that it produces so many people who are a little bit unstable in a lot of ways.
Fucking headbangers. It's you brought me back to I had a fucking driving instructor. The first when I was trying to learn to drive, I was like, I don't know what the fuck age I was, 19, 20 or something. And I'm going out with this driving instructor, and he's a maniac. There's something wrong with this guy. He's an old man, but he's coming out with all these catchphrases. So I get a bit frustrated anyway. He's fucking talking shit the whole fucking time. He's giving me fucking his life story, and that he says to me when he's getting in the car, he was like, listen, I'm going to tell you something now. Life is like a balloon. And every day you get up, you put a puff of air into the balloon. And if you don't stop to let it out, sometimes it's going to fucking explode altogether. So he read the situation well. Fair play to him. Oh, fuck me. But yeah, that's why fucking fellas end up going off the rails. It's not like they come with a fucking financial planning fucking course before they come into their boxing career. You know what I mean? You're coming straight out of the fucking trenches, as Berlanga said. And he's from the trenches, you know what I mean? No mistake about it. Like, but these guys are not coming with exactly New York City, but they're not getting financial planning advice, or they're not getting fucking, polished fucking PR fucking people to help them get through interviews and that. Like, they just are what they are. Like, it's just what makes the sport. Anyway, we're going on a fucking mad segue. Maddie, get me out of this, man.
Aunt B says Johnny Fisher and Joe Joyce have degrees, and I say, hey, Opie Taylor, you tell Aunt B to get back in the kitchen and make my bean pies, or I'm gonna kick her ass.
Well, I tell you what, there's no justice, because Big John Fisher's walking around and Big Pun is dead. It's not right.
Terrible fucking world, man.
Yeah, you can't spit bars, can you? You can't spit bars to the Chinese menu like Twins 98. No chance, mate.
But if he don't stop, he's going to be dead in the middle of Little Italy.
Oh, fuck. Anyhow, so yeah, that card, we spent an hour and a half on that one, so it must have been a good card. Let's move on to the ladies. And I finally have to concede a real victory for Katie Taylor in the Trilogy fight. She won a majority decision over Manny Serrano. What's that?
Get it round you, as Andy would say.
Yeah, I accepted it. I was fine with it, because I'll tell you what, I think at the end of the day, they're both exhausted. And Amanda didn't want, maybe she didn't have the foot speed to make that first step the way she used to. Maybe she just didn't want to deal with the headbutts and fought an outside game, which she was never going to win against Katie Taylor. But it just never caught fire the way it did before. But I'll tell you what, Rob, this fight was not nearly as entertaining as the other fights. And this is certainly Katie Taylor separating herself from Amanda. But I think that this was a better display of real skill in the boxing ring than the other two, because what Amanda did in those two fights is forced it to get uncomfortable and made it so that Katie couldn't slow down the action in the way that she felt it, and her reactions weren't as strong. In this case, she was able to react as she wanted, and it was a very high-level women's boxing match with one who had deeper boxing talent.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a perfect synopsis, but it's not. I can't get across to the listeners that don't live in Ireland just how big she is here. I mean, it's my birthday tomorrow, so I was having a few for the whole weekend, really. But I was up having a few on Friday night, and the missus fucking calls me on her phone 4 o'clock in the morning. Here, I'm up for the Katie Taylor fight. like her ma's up watching the Katie Taylor fight. Like the whole country stops. She lives in Connecticut because it just suits her. Like it's a remote place. She can go do her shopping in peace. They had her in the shop in the build up to the fight. You see it. They had her in the shop in Ireland. And
She's
they
close
had to
to
close the place.
our friend Donnie if she needs legal counsel. It's very convenient.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's useful information for Katie. She'd be delighted to acquire the services of Connie. Oh, me. Um, but like she's a megastar over here. What she means to so many people, like she crosses the divide, and I don't know if the Americans can understand it, and that's why I find the promotion a bit strange. Obviously, it's MVP, but this is a sidebar, and we'll have to come back to it because if Netflix are going to be involved in boxing, I know they're the house with all the bread, but they can't be controlling the narrative. Like the whole build up was about the headbutts in the second fight. I thought Taylor won the two fights, and I'm not saying that from a biased perspective because even as an Irishman, I'd be crucified if I said I thought maybe she lost one of the pursuing fights, and I thought the Olympic final was very tight as well. So I call it as I see it. Like, and I think the fight she definitely did win, and the Chantel Cameron rematch, and the two fights with Serrano. I just thought she did better work. She won the rounds. They were tight fights, razor tight. But this fight, Serrano's camp, I think, made a mistake. You changed her style. Like now, maybe like you said, she's exhausted. She can't go to the well again. This fight is a payday, massive, 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 massive payday for women.
Yeah,
Women's
you got to think
boxing.
Amanda was fighting for titles in the pro ranks when Katie was still fighting for amateur gold. I mean, she's been
Yeah,
at it.
the two of their stories are incredible. You take Katie Taylor's story separately, fighting as a boy, you dressed as a boy or disguised as a boy rather in the Irish amateurs because they had no women's boxing, and her dream was to be an Olympic champion when they didn't even have women's boxing in the Olympics, and she boxed in front of the Olympic panel
Yeah, you fucking
to get it
manifesting your
across.
own
Yeah.
dreams. That's crazy
So
shit,
the shit,
honestly.
what she's done to get it to this level, to be headlining like in the Garden, the two of them 50-50 split in the crowd between the Puerto Ricans and the Irish, like for these women to go and do it a third time, brilliant. But I didn't like the fucking narrative in the build up. It was all about that Katie Taylor's a dirty fighter. Did she headbutt her intentionally? I don't think so. Did she rub her fucking head in the cut? Hell yes, she's a fucking Olympic champion, fucking how many time world champion? Of course, that's what fighters do. You get a fighter, put your
Oh,
hand in there, like
don't put that on the amateurs. That's Irish pub culture right there.
well,
Let's
wherever it is,
take
it's
it for
fucking,
what
it's
it
in it.
is.
It is what it is. So I thought that they changed Amanda Serrano's game plan and it played into Katie Taylor's hands perfectly. I think she brought her dad back in to get just that. And I was talking to a friend of mine just before the fight, and he was saying like that in her old, he didn't like the style of the new coach because she's getting involved in almost every fight. It just becomes a shootout where she lets off combinations, and the two of us stand in the center of the ring, we trade, and she's not using her feet as much. Peter Taylor was back with her. She was using her feet. She was in and out brilliantly. The first four rounds I thought were a non-event. I don't think you could give either fighter either the two rounds. Maybe they give Katie Taylor the second round just for cleaner punches landed, but air punches. Amanda Serrano was punching a lot out of range. She's a pressure fighter. She brought the best out of Taylor by putting pressure on her.
I think she thought she was going to try to get
Hot
Katie
shot
to
her.
fight on a counter on something and then step in over
She
the
thought she
top. And
hurt her,
she
didn't she, in the
never
second
did.
fight? She rocked her in the
She
second
did.
fight. She was looking for that opening all night, and it played into
Rocked her in
Katie Taylor's
both
hands.
fights. She had the fifth round
Yeah,
of the first fight. She
she
rocked
stiffened
her.
her in in the first fight as well. You're right. So I think she's looking for that one shot all night, but that's playing in Katie Taylor's hands. She was in and out. She was coming off the better in the combinations. Tight fights, not no major exchanges really in the whole fight. You're waiting for the whole thing to catch fire for the whole night, but then you see after kind of round six, oh, Taylor's fucking just outboxing her. She's going to box her ears off down the stretch, like. And I think that's what happened. I saw some people still clinging on to the fact that Serrano was robbed this time. Like, I just let it go for fuck's sake. Like, there's no shame in any of this. Like, the two of them are, the two of them have put the flag in the ground for women's boxing. They brought us to the biggest fucking platform ever. They're right. Serrano got a bit of pelters for her emotional interview afterwards, but you got to think that they're too story for the two of them to end up there. Like, there's only like three fights on Netflix. One of them had Mike Tyson in it and the biggest social media influencer in the world. The other one has the two best fucking pound for pound fighters in the world, and it's them on the other one. Like, so they made it arrive, I guess, but to get back to the narrative and stuff, Netflix have to stop with this house fighter shit. Like, if you're watching, the Netflix fucking judge had it a draw. You're fucking joking me, a draw, and this is no bias. Like I said, this is not Irish bias or nothing. Just watching the
One of
fight.
the
It's not a
judges
fucking
had it a
draw.
draw
Like,
too.
exactly. Fucking hell. So it wasn't a draw fight. Like, it wasn't a close fight. The rounds were tight, but Taylor was winning the rounds. Like, and there's no way that it was fucking a robbery or a potential robbery. But the way,
No,
and even
this
like
one wasn't.
Andre Ward on the Baumgartner fight. Baumgartner was getting her ass beat by Baby. I love her to death, but she was getting her ass beat in a big portion of the fight. And in those fights, in that portion of the fight, Andre Ward says something really spooky. Not for the first time, because he's a great fighter and one of my favorite fighters, but he's a fucking oddball, isn't he? Like, so he says weird shit. But he said in a commentary, well, sometimes it looks like even if Baumgartner doesn't get through when we see it on the replay, the judges might take it that she's landing, so she could actually be winning the fight. I'm like, what? We're just going to fucking discount the 3 punches that she shipped to on the replay where it looked like she may have landed, so we're going to give her the round. Like, they have to stop with this. Like, they need to get, like, if they're going to be the platform that expands boxing globally, do it right. Like, get the right people in there, the Lampleys or the future Lampleys. The Kellerman, I know, is back around with Netflix. Get him in there. Like, get rid of that shit. Like, that fucking house narrative was bad enough on the zone, but this is the worst I've ever seen. Like, fucking horrible. And through the whole fight, like I said, Baumgartner didn't open her mouth. Like, she had her chance to call Katie out and call Amanda out, didn't she? And she said, "Oh, I gave a B plus performance or something." Blah blah blah. And you see Jake Paul fuming in the background because he's trying to hype her up. But because
Layla
they're trying to
Ali
build
and I
her,
gave her a C.
yeah, Layla Ali, get her out of here as well, for fuck's sake. Like, Kate fucking Abdo. Oh, Jesus Christ. But what do you call it? Yeah. For Baumgartner, you could tell the narrative is she's the next one. She's the marketable one. She's the good looking one. She's fucking Jake Paul's founder. They're
If
wanting her to
Serrano
fight Katie
doesn't
Taylor.
retire, if Serrano doesn't retire, that'll be her last fight. And it's not
But
going to
if
be for
if but
Katie.
she's not
Katie's
looking for the Serrano fight, she's looking for Katie. Get her Katie a crow pack. That's
Yeah.
what they're trying to do. Like, but she didn't open her mouth in the afterwards. And now today she's tweeting, "I want Katie," but that was her opportunity. I thought they dropped the ball. But even if you're building a promotion around certain fighters, you have to fucking call it down the line. Like, it's not fucking good. They're controlling the narrative on the whole fucking event. Like, it's not right. I didn't like that at all from Netflix. Like, and I know I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. It is what it is. But that was terrible.
I don't think Alicia can beat Katie either. I don't think Alicia would compete.
No, but she maybe deserves a fucking shot at her for if Katie's having a farewell at Croke Park.
You
Come on,
just want Alicia to go to Ireland.
come to Ireland, maybe train in Wexford. Do you know what I mean? Get the sea air into you.
But in all seriousness, I don't. From what I've seen from Alicia, in her attempted comeback here, I don't think that she would be competitive with Mayer in a rematch, especially at 147
I
pounds.
thought that last night. I thought she looks well. Although she scrapped to the end, she I don't know about this. Didn't she binned off what's my man from Detroit that was training her?
Tony Harrison.
Spinned him off, doesn't she? And she's with Aaron Spence's trainer. And he was giving her good instructions, it seemed like, but she took her time about executing them, and I don't know if she's I don't know if the power's there anymore for some reason. Do you know that way?
Her problem is she's always looking for a single shot.
Miranda's very big as well, and she was throwing punches and bunches. We're after getting off Taylor fucking Serrano there, but anyway,
it's all good because it's all part of the conversation. I don't know shit.
Yeah, but I'd like to see Baumgartner versus Taylor. Jokes aside, I'd like to see Baumgartner versus Taylor at Croke Park if she is gonna, or one of the big stadiums here, if she is gonna have her last farewell. She is 39 years of age, so we're gonna have to close the curtain on Katie Taylor eventually. Very interested from her, and afterwards to hear him say that, yeah, we said to her in the dressing room, I begged her, I said, just box, Katie, I'll box her ears off. And, she went out and executed as if she's waiting in the fucking dressing room to change her game plan for fucking her to come in and tell her to box. But we know why he wants her to box, because fucking he wants to get another 4 or 5 drinks before she retires. So we know fucking well why he wants her to conserve herself and not put herself in wars, like, so she might stick around a little bit longer, like him and fucking Brian Peters together. But anyway, yeah, fucking big old Katie Taylor, man, fucking did the business, got the definitive win. Nobody can say nothing now. Like, she beats Serrano, and that's that.
Yeah, Des, she definitely got a definitive one finally. Like I get arguments. I get the first fight argument either way, leaning towards Katie more than the second one. But I mean, they were very, very close affairs. No one could deny this. In this one, it was a boxing match. As I said, the boxer separated herself. Frankly, I would like to see both retire. They've made more money than any female fighters before them, but I don't know if that's what's going to happen. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was a different type of Taylor Serrano fight than what we used to, because I just think their bodies have sort of packed up on them, and I think Serrano probably had a conversation in camp at the very start of camp that went something along the lines of, "I don't want to do another 10 like I've done the last 20. I'm not quite sure that's working for me or is going to work for me now," because age and camps and these type of fights take a toll. And I think Serrano thought, I'm going to do a deal. I'm going to try and apply a different style where I can look after myself and maybe pinch it. But she played it to Katie Taylor's hands, and that really did suit Katie. I agree with Rob. The first 3 rounds were nothing, but then Katie got into a rhythm. And we touched on it last week, Matty. Look, both very, very good kids, very talented kids. But Katie Taylor's got this special quality. It's like a Joe Calzaghe quality where she knows how to win. Like an Alex Ferguson's Manchester United. If it ain't working for me, doing what I want to do, I'll do enough to just get over the line round by round. And Katie's always had that. And she's been a brilliant ambassador for women's boxing, not just Irish boxing. She's been a fantastic female boxer, kicked down so many doors. She transitioned brilliantly from an elite amateur into the most elite pro. No complaints at all with the 3 results. There were 2 very close ones. I can hear your argument for the second fight, but I just think, to answer the question, where do they go now? I'd love to see them both retire because they've both had fantastic careers. They've both created a bit of history in the women's game and they've earned loads of money out of it. So it's time to move on. No complaints about the result at all. I just think Serrano, her body didn't give up on her, but it just told her early on in this camp, I can't do another 10 rounds like I've done the last 20.
Well, and she's took some really clean shots from Katie in those 2 fights too. I mean, everyone remembers Amanda hurting Katie, but those fights weren't close because, Katie was just tapping her. I mean, she caught her really clean. And you got to think, Amanda won titles down at, I think her lowest one was 115, 118. I mean, 115. So, I mean, this is a much smaller fighter, and I think at the end of the day, those 2 fights they wore on her, and coming into it, like how badly, because she knew if she was going to get in there close to what the end result was, and she was going to get headbutted, and she was going to need plastic surgery again, and it's just some point just like, I don't want to fucking do that. I want to try to find another way to win.
Correct. And don't forget this as well. When you're jumping up in weight like that, not only you're fighting a bigger opponent, you're bringing in bigger sparring partners. Sometimes you're bringing in sparring partners even bigger than Katie Taylor because you've got to move them about and get used to that size, that attrition. So it's been a really hard few years for Serrano. Top by the fights with Katie under the lights. She's had a really, really good career, but it's been a hard career. She's run to Katie very close. But I'm agreeing with you. If that's what you said, I'd like to see them both go now because they're both huge. They've both been huge successes. But Matty, just to make it clear to you, never underestimate what's done in camp, particularly when you're bringing in bigger sparring partners. It becomes a nightmare. You get anxiety, you get butterflies. Training is not fun anymore because you're constantly pushing against it.
Well, that's
everyone.
People sometimes are surprised, like, he had a large number of fights, and I mean, you consider that, but everyone's like, James Toney was, a great defensive fighter in his day, and you hear him talking as much as he denies that he's got any issues and stuff like that. Like, it's obviously it took its toll. Like, how the hell could a great defensive fighter like that? Like, But then you hear the stories of the gym wars that James Toney was in, and the level of competition that he was sparring with over those years and stuff like that, and going up the weights so that he could take on Evander Holyfield, then Samuel
I can answer
Peter.
that. I can answer that because James Toney is a brilliant defensive fighter. But where they're so clever and so cute. So, for example, a Paulie Malignaggi, he's a defensive fighter in that he's never there to take a shot or be touched. Tyson Fury is very similar. Their feet take them out. But Tony was never that guy. Tony could stand in the pocket. He was in the other kid's circle. And what he did, he knew how to turn his head. He knew how to turn his head, put his chin down. So he took shots around the back of the ear. He took shots on top of the head, but he never took them in the vital areas. So he knew how to ride a shot. He knew how to take the sting out of a shot, but he still got touched. It's a different type of sublime defensive genius. It's cuter because you're in the pocket, you're in distance all the time, and they can't land clean, but you're still getting touched. That's why you're seeing the effects of someone like Tony now.
Yeah, and it's no matter how good you are, and that's I mean Floyd was the guys like that. He was smart about the way he went out with it, and some guys don't have any effects at all, and it just doesn't make any sense. And other guys are just completely whooped up by it like you wouldn't believe. So, but anyway,
if you look at James Toney sparring, right? He's always in distance and he's rolling under, turning, shoulder rolling, chin down. Knowing how to take the sting out of punches, knowing how to just turn his head and take it around the back of the head where it don't count, but it counts long term. But if you look at someone like Fury or a Paulie Malignaggi, their feet are their first line of defense. They stay out of range, and if you get too close to them, they hold, turn you, break, and start again. Tony was never that guy. He was always in close, working in tight spaces. But people always touched him around the back of the head, around the back of the ear, on top of the forehead. He was always getting touched. That's why you're seeing why. So, yes, he was a defensive genius, and not many fighters can do anywhere close to what Tony could do. But that's why you're seeing the effects now.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense at the end of the day. So, but back to the ladies as we digress. James, I know you caught this fight. I think you're in agreement. It was the clearest of the three. What are your thoughts going away with this? And do you think that it's worthwhile for either or both gals to keep going forward in their careers? Katie's going to be 40 soon. Amanda, I think, is 36. If either of them want to even think about motherhood, I mean that clock is certainly ticking for them. It's an odd conversation that we don't have on the male side of the sport, but it's you got different paths to your life outside after those years and what you want.
Yeah, that's pretty true. I'm pretty sure they're both gay though, so I don't think they have to worry. I think there's something about these fights where the atmosphere in the arena kind of bleeds through the screen. There's something about the atmosphere that shines through. You can see in famous fights from back in the day, like Phoenix Trinidad and Bernard Hopkins will be one of those ones where you could feel like the heat from the arena. And I don't know whether it's just like the production value or whether a different type of crowd comes out for these fights, but I feel it every time I watch these fights. And obviously this third fight was conducted on different grounds and by different rules of engagement than the first two fights. And I'm not quite sure what the reason is for that. Obviously, they're both older. And they beat the fuck out of each other, really, at times in those last two fights. So it's perfectly understandable that they were a little bit more standoffish. I think it's a great little tidbit that Katie Taylor's dad was back in the corner. I wasn't aware of that. I don't follow things on that level. But it kind of makes sense that the more reckless kind of whirling, hook-heavy version of Taylor that we've seen in fights where it hasn't really served to her advantage, especially in the Pursoon fight. And in this fight, it was more like straight shot, single counters, moving her feet a lot more. You could see her turning the clock back a little bit in terms of her style. But I think Serrano was definitely not as willing to close the distance on her in the same kind of mentality. She was she wanted to be more circumspect for her own reasons, whatever they may be. And I don't know why she'd be getting insulted for her post-fight comments, because, you know, like, you could count on one hand the amount of female fighters who have really moved the needle in terms of the scope of boxing. Now, not all women's boxing is great quality at all, but you need a big fight in a special atmosphere and two fighters with personalities that you can believe in. And I do think they've encapsulated that, which is why I could, you know, if this went Serrano's way, I could see it happening a fourth time, even though Katie Taylor will be 2-1 up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something about the ingredients here that you know, mixes really well. So, you know, 3-0 now. There's no point doing another one. Whether they fight on, listen, I'd look at Alicia Baumgardner in any kind of situation. Never mind a fight with Katie Taylor.
This is it now.
Do you know what I mean? So I'd be happy.
They're just never going to make that money again. There's not an opponent for either of them to grab the imagination.
But Baumgartner dropped the ball, because if she's gone out on fucking Friday night or whatever, and she's put in a fucking glitzy performance and she's, you know, look class, like, then she's the natural fucking fight. She's the only one. Like, it's Netflix, it's MVP, but she's stunk the joint out and then criticized herself when Layla Ali has gone and fucking obliterated her in the commentary. So I think they can still make that fight, but that'll be the fight they're looking to make, I think. Like,
yeah, they can still push that fight. You know what I mean? Like, that can be part of the build-up. I don't know what kind of Netflix's ethos is in terms of building a fight, but you could definitely make a case for it happening. I think
it's gonna go on MVP, isn't it? Because they're kind of controlling the women's roster by the looks of things. Like,
I'll tell you what the problem is, and I'm going to go to Justin on this, because Justin never watches women's fights, and he finally did, and it was the worst of the three. But let's talk about the card on the whole. Even though there were some good fights on there that I thought were, you know, decent as, you know, any undercard fight that might appear on a random card on the men's side of things, Justin, I don't think, outside of Taylor and Serrano, who are already so known, I don't think anybody had a star-making performance on that card.
Well, I thought I thought I was joking, and you got it. I didn't watch any of this fight, any of the card.
I thought Savannah. I heard Savannah Marshall got robbed. Did she?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that fight was fair.
That
was a fair. That was a fair.
Yeah, she got robbed. I think she got robbed as well. I think her left hook didn't work that night. I have no idea what's going on with women. The whole time y'all been talking about women's boxing, I've been in the kitchen doing stuff and just barely listening. I just want to let y'all go for a while until it was time.
A throwback there to the hater Dave Loback, who used to often commentate on fights that he hadn't seen and give his breakdown.
Yeah. When I said I watched the fight before we got on, I was just fucking around. I have no idea. I didn't even know who won until you told me. I didn't know who won until y'all said it. Like,
and who could blame you, Justin? Let's be honest here.
Yeah, and I didn't see a real star-making performance on there. I thought that it was nice to see Shadeja Green get a good win. Savannah definitely struggled in there. That Jennifer Miranda fight with Baumgardner could have gone either way. I still need to go check out and see what the Shanika Johnson stoppage over Sharetta Metcalf looked like. And there was one.
I don't know what any of these fighters fight like, but they all have very sexy names.
I'll tell you what though. If there was one fighter on there who I thought actually, as I was watching it, I'm like, this chick could be the goods. It is really rounding herself out and looking better. Is Ali Scottney? I thought she really looked fantastic in her
She's
fight.
very good. Yeah, she's very good.
Yeah, she could be pound for pound for sure. Unfortunately, I don't know what
I think if you're looking at a lot of these girls are on the way out, got one foot out the door now. Savannah Marshall's had 1 foot in boxing, 1 foot out of boxing for the last couple of years. I think that Clarissa Shields was a kind of like a wake up call for Savannah. On Friday night, her trainer couldn't be there, and she's probably going over old ground in a funny way, in a roundabout way. And I just think, I think Savannah deserved to win it? Possibly. But she looked a little bit lackluster, and it's not the first time I've seen her do that. And I think the same can be said for Baumgardner, who's coming off of that drug issue. And she, even though she got Derek James in her corner, she didn't like any great shakes to me. She's got 1 foot out the door. Katie Taylor and Serrano, we've spoken about them. So I think the time could be right for someone like Ellie Scotney to be the next big star of women's boxing. She's certainly talented enough, good enough. She seems to have the right temperament and personality to sell. I think that's a good shout, Matty.
I'll see you, or Ellie Scotney, and I'll raise you, Fran Hennessy. I'm on the GAD hype train there. Fran Hennessy is the fucking next big biz.
Well, why not?
You never know.
And Sky Nicholson, I hear, has great things going for her.
You know, and I honestly think that if Sky hadn't lost and would have kind of kept on the trajectory she was on, I think that her and Scotney would have. I don't think it would have been
for that girl that beat the shit out of her.
They're never ever going to put Sky Nicholson in the same postcode as Ellie Scotney.
Don't put her in again with anyone that can beat her.
You say that, but I think they were going to build to it knowing that Sky would have gotten whooped up by Scotney. But if they would have worked it the right way, they could have gotten both of those gals a decent payday off of that. And that's what you're working for. Is
I don't think Sky Nicholson's got to worry about a few, Bob. I think she's got that covered.
But put it this way, if I was Sky Nicholson's promoter, and I'm not, but if I was, I'd be looking to keep that Sky Nicholson hype train running as long as I could. If I was a promoter, that's all I'm saying. I'm not a promoter, but if I was, I'd be looking to keep that going as long
as that's going, the sexual harassment lawsuits wouldn't be incoming. So yeah, it would be the right move. You got to protect yourself, Rob. I get that.
Protect yourself at all times, Manny. I'm punching it out.
Yeah. Today in these workplaces, you can't even say shit anymore. I tell you, fucking what. Anyhow, that's a joke. But yeah, that card was honestly, as far as it went, it wasn't a bad card, but I don't think it was what Netflix was looking for. I thought that Green and Marshall was actually pretty decent, and those gals both landed some hard shots and hurt each other at various times. Again, Ali Scotney looked pretty good. I need to go back and check and see that Shanika Johnson stoppage and see, because she's on a nice little run right now. But it was a good night for women's boxing, but definitely not what Netflix thought they were going to get out of it, considering the first two fights, Katie and Amanda.
You got to wonder how they feel about that. Were they looking for blood and guts, or is it a slick boxing performance from Katie good enough to swing it for them?
I think it all depends on the numbers, man.
I don't think you help
the roof, man. Fuck's sake.
I don't think you help women's boxing by doing these all women cards. I think you could have done a lot more, something a lot more positive by bringing in some male fighters on this card, some good male fighters, and try and amalgamate women's boxing, not keep it separate. I don't think these women cards are strong enough or good enough to captivate the public.
You don't like Netflix's
you're right.
Separate but
you
equal?
could have had one or two better fights on the undercard that would have fucking made the main
Why
event
not?
even better.
Why not, Robbie?
Yeah.
Why not? You know what I mean? Like, why not say, look, we can bring in 2 or 3 really good fights to support this brilliant main event. Why's it got to be all women or all men? And I understand
you could have still had Baumgartner, and you could have still had
all that. Yeah, no, you ain't got to take nothing away from it, but you can add positives to it. We see this at the Albert Hall, an all women's card. It becomes more of it's tokenism. It's
Andrew
not
G
really.
is right.
Well, I'll tell you what they
See
really
what Andrew
need.
G said in the chat. He's right.
No,
he needs more knockouts.
He said, "I want knockouts." So if you're putting boxing on Netflix,
he's right, though, isn't he?
Knockouts on the
right,
card. You need it.
Right.
You need it.
Yeah, but let me ask you. But there was only one knockout on the DAZN pay-per-view. I mean, it's not that big of a difference.
Maddie, don't be disproving my argument with facts. I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah, it's one of those fights were markedly more entertaining. I'm
Matt,
not gonna argue.
Here's your problem with that. At least in that card, you thought there could be a knockout. In the woman's card, you know there's not going to be a knockout.
Sure.
So at least there's no.
And the knockout was fantastic, by the way. The knockout was that was the best that was the highlight of the night.
What that card was really missing, though, the ladies card, is I think was one more fight that mattered. Kind of like, like people could get behind Sheeraz and Berlanga as a good fight, even though, we kind of called it out. Yeah, it's not that good of a
Or they
fight.
could have just weighed in
And
Baumgartner again.
yeah,
Weigh her
and
in again. That's what it's
yeah, there you
missing.
go. And Zepeda and Stevenson, I think if they would have had Mayer and Lauren Price fight each other on that card, it probably would have thrown it over the top, because I think that fight is going to be good. Just one of those hunches I have on, there's only so many good fights that can be made in women's boxing. As a fan, I admit it, but that happens to be one of them. So anyhow, yeah, so I'd love to talk about Pro Box, but I want to make sure that we can go over all this shit. And anyways, Justin and I usually watch it religiously. We're only able to watch it fleetingly.
Maniacs.
Yeah, we're out of our fucking minds. What can you do? But let's go and talk. There's a good number of fights coming up this weekend. I'm trying to wonder what order to do it in, because it's kind of fucking weird with the level of the fighters and stuff. But let's go. Let's start. This is the right way to start it. We're gonna go to where Justin's gonna be. Justin, I'm going to let you talk about this card. We got in Frisco, Texas, we got Bam Rodriguez taking on Fumalele Kofu for the WBC and WBO junior bantamweight titles. Diego Pacheco taking on Trevor McCumbee, who we saw go rounds with Caleb Plant. Austin Williams against Itanosa Oliha. Arturo Papoca against Dominique Crowder. Omari Jones against Alfredo Rodolfo Blanco as well on there. Not the deepest undercard on there, Justin. The main event could be a little bit interesting. Personally, I think if I need to look at the odds, if there's anything that I'm looking at, it would be for Pacheco to demolish McCumbee. I know triangle theories don't work, but I just have this hunch that he is that Caleb Plant was on a huge slide. So whatever we glean from what McCumbee's abilities are in the ring, they were probably incorrect from that performance.
Well, you remember the guy that had the build the wall trunks?
Yeah, Rod Salko and Danny Garcia spun him around with a hook.
Let's put it this way: McCumbee is going to Frisco, Texas, and he's another Rod Salko. So I don't think it's going to work out well for him in that part of the world. Him coming in with that attitude, but the only reason I'm going is because I don't get to watch much, and it's only a couple hours from my where my niece and nephew live in Louisiana. So I just figured we'd ride over. But I'm a big Bam fan. I watched Kofu fight his last fight when he won the title, or maybe the fight before that. He likes to move a lot. I don't think Bam's going to have a lot of issues. It might be awkward, so he might go a few rounds just because it's just going to be a different style. But I think Rodriguez should stop him. Pacheco should beat the hell out of McCumbee for a lot of different reasons. He should beat the shit out of McCumbee just because of his stupid mustache. He should beat the hell out of him for that. Ammo Williams, he's fighting some guy from Cameroon with dyed blonde hair. I don't know much about the Cameroon guy, but Ammo Williams has kind of started to look better. So he's I think if he wins this is some kind of interim. So it'll put him in line to fight, I don't know, whoever, but he's some kind of interim title for him. And you're right. The rest of it it's not deep once you get past the 3 or 4 card. I knew it wasn't deep when I bought the tickets. We got the Indian guy, what's his name? Nishant Dev. He's not that good, but he's on there. There's a couple of real prospects, I think, on the bottom, like Blanco and a couple of guys.
The cat that's fighting Williams, he actually his family must have immigrated to Italy. He was born and raised there, actually.
Oh, maybe I just thought he was from Cameroon. I don't know. I thought they had the flag.
His family might be originally from Cameroon. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I thought I saw the flag on that tap out.
Yeah, I'm going through his resume here, just seeing if maybe there might be something that could say that Williams is in for something. So let's check it out. He has fought a couple of guys who were 16-0 and 16-0-2 respectively in 2023. Mr. Julio Alamos proceeded to lose his next 2 fights after fighting Mr. Oliha, but also to undefeated fighters. And then the other gentleman, Mr. Fatan Vukshanaz, I know I'm saying that wrong, has, let's see here, he's had 1 fight since then against the 7-0-1 guy, stopped him in 5. kind of go and see. He didn't fight that many people. Yeah. So he might maybe give him a little go there. Maybe he might give him a little bit of struggle, but he's certainly not a puncher. He's only got 9 stoppages, even though he's undefeated in his 21 fights.
I'm just looking to get drunk and watch Bam knock him out. My buddy doesn't get to. He's got like 3 kids, young kids, so he doesn't get out much. So that's why I said we'll take him out for a weekend and just get out of the house. So hopefully Bam makes it worth the trip. If y'all have never been to Texas, they got good Mexican food. It's a cool place to visit.
That's where you go.
Yeah, I wouldn't live there, but it's a cool place to visit. So it's I'm just going to enjoy the trip. They're actually boxing in the Dallas Cowboys practice facility. It's so big that you can they practice there, but you can also it turns into like a hockey, soccer. You can do all kinds of sports there. So that's where they're going to be fighting. So it'll be cool. Like I said, I don't think Bam will have any problems. Ammo should get to his guy. Pacheco should beat the brakes off McCumbee. Should beat the hell out of him, honestly. It shouldn't go long. And this shot Deb, I imagine I'll still be drinking and I'll miss that fight. I'll come in later after that ends. I have no desire to watch him go 6 rounds. But yeah, that's not a great card. We can move on if y'all want. It's Martin Bam has already got his next fight scheduled. This is just a stepping stone so he could get more unifications in. He should have no problems with Kafu.
Yeah, I would think that would be the likelihood on that. Des, I know that you're a big Bam Rodriguez fan. Are you seeing any trouble here, or are you thinking he's just going to continue showing why he's so dominant in these lower weight classes?
Oh no, this is a warm up for the Daniel Martinez fight for Bam. This is a warm up. He's going to get through Cafu, and they're going to line up a big one with Martinez later in the year. So I don't envisage Bam will struggle. I think Bam is top 10 pound for pound. I think he's a brilliant fighter. I've not seen a fault in his game yet. In fact, I can't speak high enough of this kid. I think he's got absolutely everything. I think he's going to be an absolute superstar, and we'll talk about him as a lower weight division legend for a very long time. I think he's that good. I think Pacheco will beat McCumbee, but it's interesting because Pacheco, he's one of them 6'3", 6'4" super middles, and he could be a really good opponent. He's a puncher. He could be a really good opponent for Hamza if Eddie ever wanted to put him against one of Frank's kids. That would be a really good fight, Pacheco and Hamza. And I think Ammo. Have we spoke about Ammo yet? Am I allowed to speak about Ammo?
Go for it.
Yeah, I think Ammo earned an awful lot of respect with the Hamza fight, and I think Eddie's bringing him back. Is Ammo Williams from Texas?
I think he is for some reason.
Yeah, Eddie Hearn's done right by Ammo Williams here. Fair play to Eddie. He's done right by him. Ammo stepped up and fought Hamza on that Riyadh card, and Eddie said, "I'm going to bring him back." And Ammo tried really hard that night, and he was outgunned. And I think Eddie's done right by Ammo bringing him back at home. So I think Ammo wins that, and I'm pleased to say he wins it. I think Rodriguez just looks a superstar in a build-up for a huge fight at the end of the year. And I think Pacheco beats McCumbee out of sight, but Pacheco could be a really interesting one for Hamza.
Yeah, Williams has done all right coming back. I think that win over Volney is a little bit underrated. Volney is a quality operator. You know, he got right back at it after losing to Sheeraz. And it's tough. You know, he's a 6-foot fighter with 78-inch reach, and you run into a guy like Sheeraz, and you're like, shit, he's going to fight that I usually fight.
Right. Yeah. Eddie's done right by Emma. He kept him active. He's got him back on the track, and he's now brought him home again. I like what Eddie's done with Emma. That's how promoters should look after their kids and step up and take difficult
and
fights.
He is not a Texas guy. He was born in Florida, currently lives in Wisconsin. No, he was born in Wisconsin, currently lives in Florida. My apologies.
But he has kept him active. He has brought him back, and he is getting him back on the saddle. I like that.
Yeah.
That night against Hamza. That night against Hamza was a hard night for Emma, and a part of me fell in love with Emma Williams that night because I see how hard he tried, and he lost conclusively. But I do like to see a promoter say, you know what, we're going to get you back, and we're going to bring you back another way around. That's what I like to see.
Absolutely. So yeah, we'll look forward to that. But the problem is that's going to be going on at the same time as of course, it's pay-per-view. Why not have 2 pay-per-views on different fucking providers on the same day? Well, why the hell not? This is going to be a crazy fight. We'll get to the main event in a second. Let's go over the undercard here. We got Gary Russell Jr. coming back against Hugo Castaneda. This is a lightweight for him, a couple north of where he used to compete. Brandon Figueroa taking on Joet Gonzalez. Isaac Cruz, I believe, rematching against Angel Fierro. And then we got the rematch between Sebastian Fundora and Tim Tszyu as well, with Fundora's titles on the line. I've got to tell you on that one, James, what I find most shocking about that undercard is I kind of looked through it with the odds, is Fundora is a slight underdog against Tszyu going into their rematch. And I've thought Fundora, he's riding high and he's looked good since then. He hasn't fought much. And Tszyu hasn't necessarily looked good. He got knocked out and then he got a soft touch against Joey Spencer. Do you think the odds makers got this one wrong?
Well, I'm not sure if they got it wrong or not, but fair play to Tszyu, because that's a nightmare matchup for him. Something that derailed his progress. And I feel like it indicates his attitude, that he and his team are willing to take this fight again, because, he runs the risk of getting beat up, realistically. But Fundora's a bit of a freak, isn't he? It's like, Hamza Sheeraz is like a mini version of what Fundora represents in his weight class.
Yeah, Fundora's taller than Sheeraz, competing 6 pounds south of where Sheeraz is unable to make the weight anymore.
Yeah, and he's an anomaly in a lot of ways, not just his size, but the way he chooses to use his size as well. And beats you before. So this is something that I feel like they've took I'm not sure if calculated gamble is the right phrase, but I feel like the attitude of boxing fans and, broadcasters is shifting a little bit. There's not as much emphasis on maintaining your O as there was maybe about 5-10 years ago. I feel like that's changed a little bit. So if Tszyu comes into this fight, runs it close even, split decision, I feel like you can actually build on that. And I feel like you can take the story and use it to your advantage. Okay, there are always going to be fighters that have got your number, that are going to be better than you. Like who thinks Shane Mosley really suffers by the losses that he suffered? What was his name? Forrest Griffin? No, that's a
Vernon
UFC
Forrest.
player.
Vernon Forrest.
Forrest. So here's a guy where he's outweighed.
Only the ones to his
outside,
wife.
actually.
He suffers from them ones.
Well, think about it. Shane Mosley's not defined by those losses, realistically, is it? It's a slightly different scenario, but he got credit for taking the rematch and getting beat clean. And I feel like if he builds from this, 2 fights against Fundora in an admirable way, I don't think it's really going to harm him in any kind of impactable way. But I kind of like the fact that he's taking this this rematch, because he doesn't have to. He's, as you indicated, after that loss, he took a soft touch. He has promotional sway and power. He doesn't have to do this. So I feel like that's a good indication of where he's at mentally.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. But I also, at the same time, with the way that Tszyu fights Rob and the high volume of Fundora, win, lose, or draw, I think that this fight will just be another nail in the coffin in what will be a very short career for Tim Tszyu. If just a hunch.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I can't see a path to victory for Tszyu in this fight, because Fundora, as you know, long-time listeners will know from listening to me, the Towering Inferno, Fundora, 6'5.5" That's super welterweight. Fought close for the majority of his career. Didn't use his clear advantages as being a 6'5" freak at that weight division by getting behind the jab. And I thought when he got Tszyu cut, there was only going to be one winner. He just boxed on the outside, hurt him on the inside. He likes a little scrap when it's called for, but he looked like he made an adjustment to his style that was well needed, by the way, because he got caught with his fucking chin up in the air in the previous fight. But I would think this is be like a proper scrap. It might be a gore fest like the first one. I don't know what Tszyu can do to keep getting side on Fundora if Fundora chooses to box the same way. And I don't know if he possesses that one punch hitter quitter to turn a fight. So he's going to have to find a way to be cute. He's going to have to use a lot of head movement. He's going to have to find a way to get to the body of Fundora and then try and bring something up top. And I think it's just a big ask for him. I
None
think
of
there's
what
a
you
ceiling with
described
Tszyu.
as Tim Tszyu.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that Tszyu has a ceiling. I think he fights a certain style. And I don't know if he has that kind of slickness or cuteness to kind of change his style to be all head movement to get Fundora expending energy, hitting air, hitting him in the body on the inside, making him fucking drop his hands and come up top. He's going to have to force it. He's going to have to be aggressive. If he stands mid range against Fundora this time, I think Fundora does a cleaner job on him. Like
He might, I mean, and that Mendoza knockout looms large. And as I talked about with Sheeraz, these lanky guys are knockouts waiting to happen. With Fundora, it already happened. So he's gone through that. He's made some adjustments as far as it goes. And I'm not positive if Tszyu can find that shot, or if he does, how much it's going to matter. You kind of learn to roll, you get used to him. But man, this is a very rough. This is a kind of a tough one to call. I understand why the odds are close, Des. I'm just struggling to understand how the guy who won the first one is the underdog going into this one, and I'm going to have to jump in on some of that action, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how to call this one. I'm struggling to find a way Tim Tszyu can beat Fundora, but Tim Tszyu's had a hard couple of years, a hard 18 months. He got the shock loss against Fundora, and then he ran into a training Martazaliev, and the phone ain't been
fucked him up.
But Martazaliev's a really good fighter from a very, very good fighting country, and he that wasn't a flush knockdown. He didn't catch Tszyu out. Martazaliev knew what he was doing. He was clinical. He could punch. He knew what he was doing, that kid. And his phone ain't been ringing since that fight. So people
extremely curious matchmaking that one day, wasn't it? Like
very curious. When you consider the dad is Russian and will have the inside track on all the gyms, very, very curious matchmaking.
And that he had he had the big TV deal as well. Like Tim Tszyu was somehow fucking ahead of a pay-per-view in America before that.
Yeah.
As that Fundora fight, and then Martazaliev came and fucking threw a spanner in the works, like absolutely battered him. You gotta think he's gonna. That's gotta take something out of him as well.
Absolutely, and I don't think what we saw again. I think maybe we need 3 versions of Joseph Spencer to come back from. That's incrementally going up and improving every time you fight someone like a Joseph Spencer, getting better and better, and then probably taking a Fundora fight. Fundora is a really hard fight for Tim Tszyu stylistically. I just don't know how Tim Tszyu can win this one. However, Fundora is gettable. We've seen it. He can be got at. But I'm gonna go with Fundora on this one purely because I think Tim's had a really hard 18 months, and to pick up on what Rob just alluded at. The Martazaliev result will really have an impact on Tim Tszyu when the game gets tough against Fundora. So I'm going to go with Fundora because I just can't see how Tim Tszyu can get around it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he could land. He's a good puncher. He could land a good punch, and Fundora is knockoutable, as we've seen. But ultimately, when you're in a situation like this, Justin, where you've already seen the first one, you kind of just got to go with who took the first one, unless there was some reason that you think it was tilted. And for these bookies, they might be thinking that the cut is what created the outcome in the first fight. I'm not sure.
I've always said this. I'm 100% positive if he hadn't got that cut, he would have stopped Fundora. If you go back and watch the first few rounds, he was landing whatever he wanted to. I know y'all said that he can't do nothing versus Fundora, but go back and watch the first few rounds. Tim Tszyu was doing what he wanted to versus Fundora. He was getting inside. He was landing the shots, but that cut just fucked him. And it was just a horrible cut. They probably shouldn't even let it go as long as it did. I can't believe the fight even.
That
finished.
was a fault of the corner. I will give you that 100%.
His corner should have bailed him out and said, "We got to move on," because that cut was. I mean, it was just awful. But Tszyu was in that fight the whole time, pretty much, and he couldn't even see. So I think,
interesting.
If you go back and watch, if he hadn't, I'll say it, I'm gonna end it right. If he hadn't got cut, he would have beat Fundora. I think he would have stopped Fundora. He was landing some really good shots, and the cut just changed everything. He just had to change his whole game plan. But I think, though, that being said, this version of Tim Tszyu is different than that version that fought him the first time, though. So I am going to lean. I think Fundora has gotten a little better, and I don't think Tszyu has gotten better since that fight. So I think Fundora is going to beat this version of Tszyu. But the only thing I can think is, like you said, I think the odds makers are thinking without that cut, he would have won, and I'm 100% sure he would have won.
You're right. He definitely had success, but what would point you more in Fundora's direction for me anyway is how he reacted when he got the cut. Now I know it was a nasty, horrible cut, but you talk about the levels at top level, and that was always, forgive the pun, level that Tim Tszyu, he's living off the dad's reputation to start with. He's coming through. He's making his own name in the sport. He said, my name is Tim. I'm not fucking cost you. I'm my own man. They were lining him up for Crawford, so the trajectory of his career could have gone totally differently. But in that moment when he got caught, it's how do you react? And when Fundora made the adjustment to boxing along, he couldn't deal with it. Now I know he had the cup, but then does that completely shatter his confidence? Because the next day he comes out, he's looking for a comeback fight, not going directly back to Fundora. He's looking for the comeback fight, and they matched him with this killer who took his fucking head off and cleaned his clock. So now does he become hesitant? If Fundora starts the fight the way he ended it the last time, how does he make the adjustment to get through? But he could go back to form, and if Tim Tszyu wins, it's the best thing for boxing, because that story continues. James was saying, doesn't matter that he had the loss, and if he overturns this, and it definitely if he overturns it by knockout, and that potential is always there with Fundora. Like Matty said, he's lanky, he's long, he could get clocked from overhand, and get fucking completely wiped out. But it makes the Tim Tszyu story more compelling.
I mean, hell, make a third one if it's a great fight. I mean, there's no reason they couldn't make another one. But you're right.
Sure.
I just believe this version of Tszyu, though, is not the same that fought Fundora the first time. And Rob, I just don't think he has enough to beat Fundora. I don't think he'll beat this version of Fundora now.
And I think that has to do with the way that he has shown himself to fight when he feels like he has something to prove. And he fights stupid. It doesn't make him. The only thought, all we have really to come on, to get to that conclusion is the way he chose to fight against Murtazaliev, just walking in looking for a shot and getting clocked. It seems like if he really feels like he has something to prove and his manhood is in question or whatever you might want to call it, he fights like a fool, and it does not lead to good outcomes.
I think like y'all said earlier, we need to get that guy on the pod, the one that made that fight, and see what his breakdown was, where he thought it was going to be a good idea to fight Murtazaliev.
Oh, it was absolutely stupid.
What he saw in his game that he thought Tszyu coming off that ridiculous fight versus Fundora that he needed. I don't know where happened on that one either.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
It's a hard one to get over, Murtazaliev. The way he got gorillaed, the way he got mauled, the way he got stopped and done. It's like we're only going back 8 or 9 months ago. He's only had the Joey Spencer fight in between. It's a hard one to get over that.
But when you think about it, where was he supposed to go at 154? Was he supposed to fight Bahuchik? Was he supposed to fight Madrimov? Was he supposed to fight Virgil Ortiz? It's not like there were many easy outs for Tszyu if he wanted to compete at a certain level at 154 and keep going.
But he was giving it the noise and he was taking all covers. That's what I'm saying. We did what Virgil Ortiz was the name in his mouth. Do you know what I mean? Boots Ennis was another one, I think. So I think it's proven that he's a long way off that, long way off Crawford level, long way off Boots Ennis, long way off, maybe a long way off Virgil Ortiz, but he's getting a chance to prove it now next week.
He needs this if he wants another big payday.
Oh, he needs this, man. Desperately. He desperately needs this. He can go back to fighting in Australia. I'm sure they'll find an opponent for him. They love their Australian pay-per-views.
Put him on pay-per-view,
yeah. But in terms of, the wider conversation, if he's going to be if he's going to fulfill his own prophecies, I suppose he's going to have to win next week. Like, there's no if he loses to Fundora, where the fuck would he go? Only back to Australia. Like.
Yeah, and you know, and some people make good money, as you said, doing their thing down there because apparently these guys just don't know any better. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry, Australian listeners. You guys really get behind some weird shit down there. But that said, there's just some oddly really good fights on Australian cards between people you've never fucking heard of and you'll never see again. Just one of those things. There's always something that produces. But all of this is before the main event, and you can't believe it's happening. Manny Pacquiao coming back, 45 years of age, 46, to take on Mario Barrios. Manny Pacquiao looked just awful in an exhibition against a kickboxer, I believe it was last year. And I guess maybe they watched the Abel Ramos fight, or Abel Ramos fight, and thought that they might be able to pick a title off of Barrios and lure Floyd Mayweather out of retirement for one more gigantic payday. But this just sounds like a really, really terrible idea. And Barrios, for everything that he is, it's not like he's not like Ray Leonard coming back to fight against a Hector Camacho. It's not like it's a name of intrigue. They're trying to pick a title off of a guy they see as vulnerable, but I think the Leonard Camacho result holds, and I don't know that Pacquiao is going to see much different than that. God love him, he was incredible in his day, but a fighter who relied on hand speed, endurance, and a quick first step is going to have a hard time relying on that at 46, especially against a 6-foot guy with a jab.
6-foot guy with a jab, 30 years old, been comfortably active at world level, top level for the last 2.5 years. No, I think this is all bad matchmaking. And I don't think Pacquiao's got any business, and I'm not being disrespectful to him, by the way. He was a brilliant fighter. But he's got no business being back in the ring at 45 after how many years retired. No, I can't see how Manny Pacquiao can beat Barrios. I really can't. I think the Ramos, the Madonna, the Ugas, the Santiago, I think all them fights over the last 2 years will have primed Barrios up lovely. I think Barrios at 30 years old, with his height and range, his style, I think it'd be a nightmare for Pacquiao. I just can't see how Pacquiao can win.
Yeah, especially when you look at the way maybe he might have been injured, James. Maybe he was just, worn down at that point, needed a break. Nonetheless, you had a guy like Ugas who just, basically demolished him, keeping a step away, using a jab and distance. And without that big first step, I just don't see him getting past that threshold very much, James.
I have to preface this by saying that Manny Pacquiao is probably one of my favorite fighters of all time. I think he probably might be my favorite fighter ever.
Oh, for many people, he's a fucking legend.
Yeah, and the first time I seen him was against Oscar De La Hoya, but he'd already had like an amazing career before that. So a lot of my education in boxing was kind of going through old YouTube videos, a lot of which belonged to Manny Pacquiao. And then, you see the trilogy with Marquez, 2 fights with Barrera, Morales, and then you go through his later stage career, watching those fights live, Cotto, Margarito, the Mayweather fight was fucked, but, there were 2 old guys, and there was only going to be one winner realistically there, stylistically. I think he's one of those kind of footprints in boxing. And all that being said, this has got, Roberto Duran, William Joppy written all over it. Do you know what I mean? Like a slightly past it middleweight Duran would have beat the fuck out of William Joppy. But a 40-something-year-old Roberto Duran, who's increasingly inactive after however many fights he had, this is just circumstance and time. It's not really going to be a reflection of the quality of the 2 fighters involved. But saying that, I absolutely understand a aging fighter's willingness and desire to get back in the ring. I think it's quite cynical on everyone's part that it's actually happening, because I don't think it's a financial thing for Manny Pacquiao, really. It's probably more of a financial thing for Mario Barrios. I don't know why you would do this other than for the, HBO legendary nights, George Foreman moment. Do you know what I'm saying? This super old guy who's not supposed to win, and he takes a beating for 10 rounds and pulls a punch out of his ass. I think it's like really fucking cynical. But at the same time, I'm going to watch it. Of course I'm going to watch it.
You can't help it. I know.
Yeah. But it's, there's one winner here, really. And it makes me a little bit sad to say. But yeah, the dynamics are all wrong for Pacquiao.
Yeah, and Justin, I think the one flaw I'm thinking maybe he pulls one punch out of his back pocket one more time is the fact that at least at 147 pounds, Pacquiao was never really a one-punch knockout artist. He lit people up with speed. He caught Cotto in between some shots that really surprised anybody. But Manny Pacquiao at 147 pounds was not a knockout machine, and we're talking 15 years ago.
If Manny Pacquiao knocks out Barrios, I will bet my life he's going to fail every single steroid test that you could possibly give to anybody in the world. He'll have to be on like the Baby Miller.
How dare you make those accusations against Manny Pacquiao?
Like, there's no way.
Come into the ring glowing like he's the fucking
Barrios. Honestly, I think Des summed it up. We all know what this is. He's the weakest they could find. And I'll disagree with James for one thing. I guarantee you, it's all about the money for Pacquiao. That man is horrible with his money.
He's a very charitable guy, and I don't. And beyond that, I don't think he's very.
But he also loves the chicken fight and the gamble and backing lads.
So this was the weakest guy they could find. Barrios, he's not going to beat anybody. If Barrios takes it serious and there's not a fix and he doesn't throw the fight, which that could probably happen as well. I don't see any way Manny Pacquiao doesn't get. I mean, Barrios should, in a legit world, knock out Manny Pacquiao. He should. He should come close to knocking him out, or where they have to stop it at least, because Pacquiao's taking too many punches. Manny Pacquiao hasn't been good in 10 years. They're hoping, like you said, we all know what they're trying to do, but I don't want to see Pacquiao get punished, because I'm like James. I remember when Pacquiao, first time I ever saw him, when he was on the Tyson Lewis undercard, he had his little no fear trunks and his little frosted tips or whatever the hell he had. I remember seeing him. I was like, that's hard to believe. That was 24 years ago. And we're still talking about Manny Pacquiao now, which is insane. But Barrios should have everything. He should be, because Barrios is not great, but he's not that bad either. He's
the kind of fighter who gets a title in a weak division. That's the level.
And that's what they went for. If I was leaving like this, if Pacquiao wins this fight, it's because something shady happened. The fix is in. There's no way in any world Pacquiao should go out there and beat Barrios in a decision or knock him out without some crazy shit going on. You'll never convince me. No way.
And there's so much money on the line if they could get Floyd out. If they could get Floyd out of retirement, there's so much money on the line. So it's something to consider if you're watching it and you're like, I don't understand what I'm seeing here. That might be your answer, but we digress on that.
His last fight was a hologram, and he might not have won that fight. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, and Rob, I got to tell you, I think he wants this to look like Foreman against Moore, but I think it's going to look more like Hatton against Senchenko. Rob.
Yeah, and it's terribly sad. Like, look, during COVID, I built a bar at the side of my house, a very modest bar. And basic bar basically has like a Mexican skull flag hanging in it and a picture of Marquez versus Pacquiao, signed one that one of my friends gave me. I don't want to remember Manny Pacquiao like this. Like, he got out, like, you know what I mean? It's like Carlito's way. You know what I mean? Sorry, Carlito, but it bees like that sometimes, Pappy. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck me, he's running to the fucking subway. He got out. Like, why is he coming back? You know, it has to be for the money. It's sad, man. You look back over the years. I remember Subriel Leonard was fucking my idol. Like when I was a kid, him and Mike Tyson, the two of them together. And I remember getting the newspaper clippings. I used to clip all the fucking before the internet and all that. Like fucking used to clip the paper, all the boxing headlines out of the paper, like put them in a scrapbook. Had like the death of Sugar Ray Robinson in there, all the Tyson fights, all the fucking the Hearns Leonard rematch, all that. Like, and then to see him on the deck, like after Terry Norris had his way with him, and then see him lose to Hector Camacho, to see Tyson sitting down with Kevin McBride and Danny Williams looking over him, to see Roy Jones fucking eatered by Antonio Tarver and Glenn Johnson. It's sad when you see great fighters on the deck against fellas who couldn't fucking hold it out. Like Enzo fucking, what's his name? Didn't Matt Cornetti or someone fucking knock out Roy Jones? Like, come on. Like, what are we doing here? Like, if Mario Barrios goes and fucking plants Manny Pacquiao in the first 2 rounds next week, like, he's looking at. I'm 47 in the morning, right? And I know there's only slight differences between Manny Pacquiao's regime and my own. But still, I don't want to fight for a world title. Do you know what I mean? Even if the fucking body's good, like, I'm not fighting anyone at 47
Yeah, I
years of age.
consider you a friend, Rob, but I wouldn't take you at this age.
But fucking what you call it? Maybe Manny's been fucking hanging out in a secret bunker for the last 6 years with Alex Ariza, and he comes back in next week, and all y'all suckers that write the Rang magazine wrote off Manny Pacquiao at your peril, and he knocks Mario Barrios into fucking. He has been knocked out before by Tank Davis. You got to think the last thing to go is the power. Maybe Manny has it in him to land one. But what the fuck are we doing, man? Even with the climate at the moment, you got to think Manny Pacquiao will be prime Netflix territory. He's not even going to get the bread that he should get if he is going to do one of these crazy fucking boxing matches that we're seeing more and more of these days. That comes with territory. Like, this is horrible. Manny was what he was. He was a sensation. Nobody wants to see this. Like, absolutely fucking nobody wants to see this, apart from maybe the Philippines. And look, at best of luck to them. Hopefully he comes out okay. You favour Mario Barrios to get the result, thinking maybe outpoint him. I don't think Mario Barrios is going to stop him or anything. But I hope for a Manny Pacquiao win, but I can't see it.
Yeah, I know. And the aircraft carrier said, y'all bully picked Berlanga to beat Sheeraz. What motherfucker bully picked Berlanga to beat Sheeraz? I called Berlanga.
He doesn't listen to the show.
primitive.
I'm looking at him all night, by the way. Nice guy he seems like, but he's fucking way off with his takes. Are you listening to us, pal? Are you listening to what we're saying?
I called Berlanga primitive. I said he was going to get eaten up down the middle.
What a shout that was, by the way.
Thank you. Hey, every once in a while.
Aircraft carrier, we love you, baby, but we're fucking. You have to listen to what we're saying here. Like, you're drawing your own conclusions. You're jumping out of the window. Like,
no,
stop, man.
Maybe we are underrating Manny. I'll give you that point. Maybe we are, but he's just not what he was. He just got inducted into the Hall of Fame because he's been out of the ring for 5 years and he was eligible, right? Like, isn't that why that all happened? It's
B-Hop's an anomaly. Like, he was an active fighter and he didn't have. B-Hop didn't have the miles on the clock that the early days amateur career places on guys. He never started boxing until he went to prison, so he had a preserved physique. You know what I mean? That's why he was able to go so long.
He didn't rely on raw speed either. He was timing, subtle movements, minimizing his opponent's
and Manny was all,
output.
like you said, Manny was all twitching, speed, fucking speed of foot, speed of hand, power. If that's gone, how does he cope after 5 years? 5 years? At 46, like, for fuck's sake. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I don't see it. James, were you wanting to, it seemed like you wanted to get a piece in there. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, it's like, those are fantastic points about like B-Hop, because I think, you know, sometimes we look at Olympic gold medalists and you think, oh, this is going to be the start of something great. But in reality, they've been doing it since they were 9, and there's more miles on the clock than you might actually think. And also about Pacquiao at 46, like, you're both correct. Like, he's not this Nicolino Lache type guy who's leaning back on the ropes and using minimal power. He was super explosive. Like, the way he closed the distance and landed his left hand against taller fighters, like, that's something special. And that speed of foot didn't really leave him until, you know, the Ugas fight, maybe. He put on a fantastic show against Keith Thurman. I think he dropped him in the first round. And he was 40 years old then.
That was a great performance. He should have retired on it.
Yeah, but how
he
often
retired he retired Keith Thurman when he hit him in the fucking first round.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
dead, right? That was the end of fucking any Keith Thurman chat ever at welterweight ever again.
Hey, he just knocked out Brock Jarvis earlier this year. You give Keith a break.
But that's the thing, isn't it? And that shows you the difference between someone like Manny Pacquiao and someone like Keith Thurman. And Keith Thurman was probably legitimately, for at least 2 years, probably the best welterweight in the world, or thereabouts. And that was years before they fought. So, Pacquiao has been able to turn the clock back and exceed expectations, like past his 40th birthday. This is definitely a step too far, man. But it's such a romantic idea, because you can dream, can't you? You've seen it just enough times in the history of boxing to be able to believe it.
It happened.
A less disgusting, It's a less disgusting version of Mike Tyson going in the ring again with Jake Paul. Like it's just like, in as much as you want to dream of what could be, it's not going to happen. It's just not. You got to let it go.
But I think if he was still active, you'd have some shout. Like when B-Hop, as we said, went up the years, he didn't have the same amateur pedigree as some of the lads. So his body was preserved. But as he went up the years and he, after losses to Kalajdzic and Jermaine Taylor, turned around, beat the shit out of Pavlik, turned around, beat the shit out of Pascal, then loses again to Chad Dawson. You're thinking, oh, this is it. And then comes back here like fucking schools, Divorce Cloud and Burbot Shumanov and picks up titles and he's nearly 50. You're like, this mother. If Manny was still active, you probably wouldn't rule him out against Barrios as quickly. But the fact that he hasn't been doing anything for 5 years apart from, like Jim said, like cockfighting and fucking gambling and, not having control of his money as a 46-year-old man, which is nothing wrong with. Unfortunately, we're seeing him back, and I just can't. It's just so hard to pick against Barrios. Like James said, there is that romantic element. But I remember going for this okie doke so many times: Tyson versus Lennox Lewis, Tyson versus fucking Danny Williams, Kevin McBride, Roy versus fucking Glenn Johnson. You want to see it, but you don't always get what you want. And I just think Barrios is going to have the edge.
It's just a hunch, and again, it's a style thing too. It's not like George Foreman, who is a fucking physical beast and is out in the wintertime chopping fucking wood, just getting his forearms bulked up to land that one right hand. Because as he told Jim Lampley, there will come a moment where he's going to stand in front of me and he's going to let me knock him out, and he did. But Manny's not that guy. He's not a big imposing welterweight who could manhandle guys. He's a smaller guy who competed based on his incredible balance and speed and ability to put his punches together. And he also had a fucking fantastic chin in his day too. Let me not knock his chin. He ate bombs from guys.
What if Manny's ma turns up against us putting hex on fellas? Does that change anything?
In the crowd, yeah, fuck it up.
She could jinx Barrios. I feel like he could go for that psychology. What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe his family would be in there, putting some sort of a Native American curse on him. It could be a battle of the fucking curses of people who have been fucked over by the United States.
It's funny. As soon as Rob said that, I just kept picturing the whole time y'all were talking, his mom with that chicken bone. I was just thinking the whole time.
Yeah.
What a world.
I think more fighters, as we move more into the sports entertainment side of things, in terms of Netflix and the WWE element that's clearly at play now. I think more fighters should hire me to be their trash talk consultant in the build up to fights. Do you know what I mean? I thought Katie Taylor let too much shit slide versus Amanda Serrano. I would have been in her earpiece like Inner Spaceman saying, fucking go and get that fucking Puerto Rican flag down there and throw it down on the ground like B-Hop and tell her 2-0, you fucking Puerto Rico. I would have hyped it up a lot more. You know what I mean? Hamza Sheeraz, give me a shout. WhatsApp me.
You can't fix Joe Joyce though.
No. The only way I could fucking fix Joe Joyce is if I channel the other Joe Joyce. That's a story for another day.
The aircraft carrier saying, "What if the sanctioning bodies turn a blind eye to him juicing like the guy who fought Morell?" That's exactly it. The sport's so fucking crooked. I don't think
let's
any
hope so.
outcome's impossible.
We all know that Pacquiao is going to be on at least 15 to 20 different drugs. You know he's going to be on that. There's no way he's not going to be on that.
Well, like I said earlier, there's so many people who would make a shit ton of money if Pacquiao could lure Floyd out of retirement with a title for like one last big showdown, like before they go to the senior home, and people would, wouldn't sell 4 million buys, but I bet it would still do close to 2.
It's like you didn't see Barrios. You didn't see Barrios' team asking for the 360 testing. No. Everybody knows what this is. Everybody.
Take the test.
Do you know what would be good crack? If Manny Pacquiao pulls out a knockout win, and then you have to tune into Paulie TV the next morning, because Paulie was the biggest fucking proponent that Manny may or may not have been fucking performance enhancing drugs during his career. I mean, look at this guy, guys. This guy's HGH. It grows your head. Look at this guy's fucking head. Everybody, look at his head. Look at his head.
He's 46 and he's got back knee.
This guy's head, guys. You guys, he's 46. You guys, come on, guys. What are we doing here?
But yeah, anything's possible. But I hate to cut it short, but God, we need to move on. We're gonna be over 3 hours here shortly. It's been a hell of a day. Let's see here, and this is the one that I think is at least the main event is a good, interesting contest, worthwhile, has some drama, intrigue, a backstory to it. Yeah, it's on pay-per-view as well. Pay-per-views galore, live from London. Usyk and Dubois, the rematch, the low blow, all of these different things that we could talk about. But first, let's talk about, let's see here. What do we got going on? We've got Andre Nowitzki against Vladislav Serenko, heavyweight contest. We got Daniel Lepin against Lewis Edmondson at 175. Akoli and Lorena at heavyweight as well. Justin, your thoughts on this undercard? I mean, Lorena's pretty good underdog to Akoli, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, considering how he performed against Dubois, I mean, he's a kind of an underrated guy.
It's going to be an ugly fight but I think Akoli probably stops Lorena, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lorena beat him either. So yeah, Akoli's not any good. Akoli's just horrible to watch. I don't think Akoli does anything in the heavyweight anyway, so I don't care what he does. But I would not be surprised if Lorena beats him. I still think Akoli probably stops Lorena. But Lorena you got to say he was kind of hard done versus Dubois in a way.
That was a fucking bizarre fight, man.
I think Lorena was on his way to stop Dubois. And then it kind of got a little here and there, but yeah, they kind of had to jump in there and kind of change that before that was getting ready to go real bad. So I think Akoli beats Lorena. And is that the heavyweight fight on there? The big Ukrainian guy, the big fat bald guy?
I think you're right.
Yeah, is that the one that fought Yamalov, wasn't it?
Nowitzki and Serenko is the other one that's on there.
Yeah, I think that's the big fat bald guy. One of them is. So he's always interested. He's like the better in shape Butterbean. And
I remember that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He was like so I don't know about the rest of the undercard. You can ask Dez or somebody. I might watch the Akoli fight. I'm just waiting for the main event on that one.
Sadly, we have lost Dez. We have lost James, but we have Rob. Rob, your thoughts on that undercard, and it's okay to say you think it's shit and move on. Was I on mute there?
I was so far away from the phone.
I couldn't remember what the fuck was going on.
I was expecting the lads were still here. Fuck this undercard, buddy. I think in the interest of time, we get to the main event, baby.
All right.
If any of the fights are any good, we'll be obviously covering them next week, but we'll wait and see how they play out.
All right. And we do have James back again. And maybe another party broke out at his house, as it seems to occur. James,
what kind of parties are we talking here, Matty?
I don't know, James. I got to ask you, with this many shindigs that happen at your house, I know you're also renovating. Is it kind of like those people who build on a river that always floods, and the next day you just got the attitude of "we will rebuild"?
On a scale of Big John Fisher Saturday night Chinese to P Diddy parties, what are we talking here?
We're talking 85% towards Diddy, obviously.
Excellent news. Good stuff.
But it's that's what happened last week. Baby shower. All of a sudden, we're still up at 4 a.m. and my missus obviously not drinking. 4 a.m. I wanted to go to bed at 11. Mate, I can't do it. And there's still painting to be done. Do you know what I mean? But so my laptop my laptop just crashed out, so I've missed the last little chunk of the conversation. Where do we move on to?
It was terrible. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything.
Yeah, we're just getting into Usyk and Dubois. You would have just been another voice saying that the undercard sucks. So, but this main event, we're looking forward to this one, guys. Usyk obviously is Usyk obviously one of the rare times where maybe he feels like he has something to prove because of the low blow controversy, and to get that out of the way, let's see where everybody stands on that one. And I have looked at it multiple times, the different angles and stuff, and I'll tell you, it's a hard call, and it's all based on where the referee is at the time, where you set the trunks. I mean, it was seriously borderline. I can't give any grievance to the ref. I'm neutral on the whole thing. Where are you on that that call over a year later, Justin?
I don't think it was low. I mean, I've looked at it like you. It's a fucked up call because, like you said, you could look at it 1,000 times and come up with 1,000 different angles. I don't think it was that low. Do I think Usyk, like they're trying to try to get out of it? No, but I don't think it. I don't think it was. I don't think it was low.
Rob, what are your thoughts?
No, I'm with Justin. At the time, I called it a legal blow. I think it was on the belt line. But I think the difference was Usyk sold it to the referee. And Usyk has form for that. We've seen him get hit on the belt line in previous fights and get that time to recover. This guy's had nearly 400 amateur fights. He's been unified cruiserweight champion. He's moved up and beaten the best of heavyweights over 5 to 6 fights now. Emphatically beaten them, by the way. Couple of tight ones with Tyson Fury, but clear winner in both fights. Beaten Anthony Joshua out of sight twice. And Dubois was the closest to beating him, if that's counted as a legal blow, because it looked like a powerful body shot that landed just on the border. But because Usyk sold it to the ref, he had that time to recover. And when he got into his rhythm, there was only one winner in that fight. The big difference this time, I think, is Daniel Dubois is probably a different fighter, but I still think it's coming too early for him. I hated this rematch for Daniel Dubois. Hated it for him. He did so much. He was so highly touted as a knockout fighter. He blasted Gorman out. He got somewhat exposed against Joe Joyce. He had a reputation of a quitter. He had to overcome big moments against Lorena, Big Baby Miller, Hargovic. Flattens Anthony Joshua in one of the most emphatic styles possible. Big domestic fight. Absolutely cleans his clock. You want the rematch with Joshua for him just to establish his style, elongate his earning potential, and build him as an exciting guy. And now you're putting him back with Usyk, who is kryptonite for a fella like him, who's going to be herky-jerky all night, side to side, make him expend energy, make him miss, and ultimately make him pay down the line. And I can't see anything but a clear Usyk win, even though I love fucking Daniel Dubois, man. And I love, not that I have anything against Usyk, I think he's given us great entertainment, but if there was to be a pass in the coach and it goes to Daniel Dubois for his exciting style for boxing, I'd love it to be Dubois, but I can't see it.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I have a soft spot for Dubois too, and some of that comes from like just absolutely loving his team and the people behind him, and also, I mean, as you described, I mean, he's kind of been dragged through the fire, and he's found his way to this position again. The Joshua win was absolutely huge, and and somehow this fight is intriguing, but. What I wonder about, James, is first of all, you can give me your thoughts if you thought it was a low blow or not. But also, I just the one thing that you worry about with Dubois is it was after that call was made, rather than being ignited by the fact if you really thought that he got him, like he has that opening, it more so pulled pulled the rug out under from him in a way, and he kind of felt like he mentally fell apart because the call didn't go his way. What do you think, James?
But that's Usyk, isn't it? Really, if you fight him and you get any measure of success, he will find a way to either just get his nose in front or take the momentum away from you. It's more of a compliment to Usyk than it is, an insult to Daniel Dubois. And as for the low blow itself, I'm the same as you guys, man. I've never definitively felt like, oh, that was super low, or oh, it definitely was a legal shot. Obviously, Daniel Dubois and his promoters are going to seize on that fact and use it for the narrative, because that's what it's all about, building fights and, retaining some of Daniel Dubois' legitimacy, really, especially after the Joe Joyce fight. That's precarious ground, and that's why this late surge in his career, Big Baby Miller, Hergovich, AJ, that's why you can look at him now and say, oh, he's legitimate. And when you compound that with the low blow, it's quite captivating, man. I mean, for me, there's only one winner, because, Usyk is a fucking bad man, innit? Do you know what I mean? Think about what he's done, who he's fought, doesn't give a shit. He'll fight absolutely anyone, big as you like, hit as hard as you like, never bothered at all, man. Never. And I'm a massive Tyson Fury fan, and there could be no bigger compliment that I could give to a fighter. I feel like he actually beat him, properly beat him.
No, he did. He definitively beat him twice. I think the second was a little bit closer, but Usyk basically had 4 fights with AJ and Fury, and it looked like he didn't even have to get out of second gear in some of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just really it's a tough call. I think the team behind Dubois is going to come in with the right game plan. And Justin, I think that game plan is simple to sum up, and it's the idea that you can't roll a body shot. And I expect Dubois to eat a good number of shots upstairs, trying to take the wheels away from Usyk. And I obviously favor Usyk in this contest, but I think it's a matter of, will Usyk's shots upstairs take down Dubois quicker than Dubois in his intended body work could potentially take down Usyk. That's how I think I'm seeing it, Justin.
I'm not trying to be different than everybody and stuff, but as soon as this fight was announced, I don't know why I thought it. I think Dubois is going to win. I don't know why. I have no idea why I'm thinking that. It's just that's what's crossed my mind every time I think about this fight. I don't think he's going to. I don't know how he's going to win. I'm not going to sit here and try to break down. Oh, he's going to throw this hand and he's going to do this and he's going to whatever. My gut feeling says Dubois is going to win this somehow.
The interesting thing is he's always in the fight, Justin. You're right.
Yes.
He's in the fight because we know he can punch. So can he catch Usyk? What I'd say about Matty's game plan is, you would say target the body. I think Fury wanted to try to go to the body on him as well, but the size of him doesn't necessarily complement that style or whatever. Dubois is not a natural body puncher. He's a headhunter. And I don't know if he's good enough to get his feet into position to whip shots into the body on Usyk, while Usyk doesn't make him pay up top. And that's where I'd see the fall down for that game plan. I think it's a good game plan because Usyk, his only vulnerability that he's shown throughout his entire career is that he might not like it downstairs. He's done that trick a couple of times with the borderline low, or maybe he's been hit low as well. But he takes the time to recover and he complains to the ref the minute the shot goes downstairs. That's amateur nous that can't be taught. It's learned behavior. So in that moment, I think when you look back at it, there's a legitimate argument to say he's in control. He knows when he's going to get up. He's using the time. He's playing it cute. He was hurt from it, but he's taking advantage of the ref's decision. In this second fight, I just can't see Dubois being able to get his feet into position quick enough to get that right hand over the top, which will be the equalizer. Because I think he could hurt Usyk upstairs or downstairs. But ultimately, the last time I think Usyk broke his spirit in the second half of the fight, and you couldn't see it going a different way.
Yeah, this is a tough fight to call, and like I said, I have a real soft spot for Dubois' team. I think they're a good bunch of folks over there, and
And he's a good kid.
He is. He is. Let me make a compare and contrast with him and Berlanga, who was handed, every fucking opportunity imaginable and is just a dickhead the whole way. And Dubois, been working his way back with chances, falling back, working back, and doing what he can. And he just does it with quiet reserve, Nothing wrong with that. It's not the best way necessarily to sell a fight, but he doesn't want to be a circus act, and he's got a family who obviously really looks
Our
out for him.
backgrounds are both fascinating as well when we want to take a deep dive into it. Like Dubois had the father who was making him and the sister do push-ups on their knuckles in the sit room, the discipline. I'm sure Usyk had a similar fucking baptism of fire on his side. Like what the two of them have taken to get to this point, like it's an interesting backstory. But again, I just think Usyk has got too much class, like too much movement. How do you trouble him? Like how does a fighter like Daniel Dubois get the exclamation point and get it over the finish line in a fight like that? Like I just don't see it.
The good thing about Dubois in this fight is this is like a lottery ticket fight for him. If he loses, it doesn't matter because he's still young and he can just come again. So this is another good fight for him because it's like he could just throw it out. I mean, he could try different things.
Yeah. In theory, he could. Yeah, definitely. He's not over. Like it's not over for him. He's always going to be around.
He just has to look good. He doesn't even have to win. If he just looks good, Dubois. I like Dubois. I like his team. Like I said, I can't tell you why. I just feel like somehow he'll win. I'm
all for it, man. For the heavyweight landscape, we've
I'm
had
dead
Usyk.
wrong.
Like,
I'm
we've
dead
seen
wrong,
it.
but I hope it does.
We've seen the Usyk movie a million times. Like we know what he's going to do, how he's going to win. If Daniel Dubois could fucking upset the apple cart, fucking land a right hand from the fucking gods, like end Usyk.
Then we'll see Fury Dubois.
Oh, fuck, we see what he'd be writing blank checks if he could beat Usyk. Like,
yes, Fury. Well, Joshua would want the rematch, but it would bring Fury, and there's no doubt it'd be Fury Dubois. That's what they would go for. It would sell. It always does.
100%.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But the cool, like you said, Dubois, even if he loses, I think he's got a couple of other ways to go. I think a Joshua rematch could potentially be on the table for him. You never know as far as that goes. You've got some, good up and coming heavyweights who might want to think they take a swing towards the top. And
you got to think that's in the back pocket, the Joshua rematch. The fact that they made this Usyk fight, you have to think that's there still, don't you?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if he lost and for some reason they don't make that because say Joshua fights Fury or Wilder or what the fuck ever, I think that I think that there is a chance to potentially sell Dubois against Fabio Wardley for some decent bucks. I think there might be some legs to that if he's coming off of a loss to Usyk, and as you guys said, if he's coming off of a win, the sky's the fucking limit. World's his oyster. Pick your poison. You're making money, kid. I guess so. Justin's going with Dubois. I think I'm gonna go Usyk, but I think this time it goes to decision. James, what's your pick?
I'm gonna go stoppage for Usyk. I think
stoppage for Usyk. Thinking on the later half of the fight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's just gonna peck away, and I feel like that's the problem. Like it might not be the one-shot knockout power. It's just like bewildering. Like he mentally exhausts fighters, and I know I'm in danger of becoming like this super fanboy, but he's got very few weaknesses, and that shows in his record and his performances. So I think unless he takes a serious dive in terms of his performance, age-related, or I know he's broke from his manager recently. I don't see any of that really playing into it. I think he just peppers in 9, 10, 11 stoppage, I think.
All right. Stoppage in the later rounds. Rob, what's your final pick here?
Yeah, I'd go with that. I think if you're playing Jeopardy, if you look at Usyk's weaknesses and try to find a path for Dubois to win, you'd say Joshua definitely hurt him in both fights. He couldn't capitalize on it, especially in the second fight. I think he had him. Now Usyk went back to the corner, regrouped, they came back stronger. I think that's what happened after the low blow in the first fight too. So if you hurt him, you have to go and get him. Daniel Dubois definitely has the power to hurt him. Can he find him? I can't see it. I just think it's going to be a breakdown later on.
All right. So we've got one Dubois, we've got a couple of Usyk decisions, and we've got a couple of Usyk stoppages and one decision. We'll see how that goes. Justin, did you say stoppage or decision? I can't recollect what you said on that.
I didn't say anything. I just said a win.
Okay.
I just said I really can't. I'll just say if I have to choose one, stoppage.
Okay, and as far as it goes with betting, I mean, when you got a guy who's paying, I think like 3-1 just to win, I'd
That's
say
just
avoid the method of victory. That'll only get you fucked more often than not. But if you want to swing at like something that might swing big, let's kind of see. I'm kind of curious. This will be what I close with, because I like everything you guys are saying there, and I can dig it 100%. But just out of curiosity of the whole measure, let me pull up some numbers, see if they got something for the more specific methods and shit and rounds. Let's see. They got a good number of fights on there, and for as we were discussing, Trevor McCumbee is paying 17-2 against Diego Pacheco, so there's probably going to be a hard to get value on Pacheco unless maybe find like an early stoppage or something there. What the hell? I tell you what, there it is. Okay, so yeah, you're getting, actually it's not as close. You're getting a little less than 5-2 for Dubois to win, so it's a little bit closer with the books than you think. Just a Usyk stoppage is a little bit better than even money. A decision is paying 2-1. What I'm kind of curious about is Usyk to win. So in your realm of thinking, James, Usyk to win rounds 10 through 12 is paying 11-2. And I think that if you're looking to get real tight, that might be an interesting way to look at it. But Usyk to win rounds 7 through 12 is paying about 5-2. That might be, if you're looking for something with a bit of value on it on the Usyk end, that might be the direction where I would go. A bit of a punt, but that's right in line with the outcome of the first fight. So, anyhow, it's been fun. Des was in here for a while. Ames was lurking in the background as he's flying out to cover some fights here stateside. James has been with us. It's great to have him back. We've had Rob, we've had Justin, and I've been your host, Matt DiGianardo. I appreciate everybody in the chat. I appreciate Ryan Deal for stopping, throwing in a super chat as well. He's one of the good guys. We love that dude. But yeah, we will see you folks next week, and we'll see in the battle of Manny Pacquiao and Father Time who takes this round. You folks have a great week ahead. We'll talk to you next time.
We'll never forget.
Ali just got up me.
Go to and move!
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch.
I've never met a fucking Sri Lankan that can fight me.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7-year ain't. 7-year ain't.
I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love boxing, Sam. It's as simple as that.